Lamau, imagine magically being shown a glimpse of your stream title today, 6 years ago. What a fucking world. I know. China Day 7. Did Trump blow Clinton? Epstein drama continued. MAGA fight. Marjorie Taylor Greene fallout with Trump. Chongqing Mountain Cyberpunk City exploration later. Like, that is an insane stream title. And yet that is the title of the stream today. That is the world we live in now. The world you once knew no longer exists. Yeah, my favorite is he's frog, you swan. I know, that's like a classic. That's a classic Chinese netizen moment. That dude's idea is I love big dick. Chinese netizens go crazy on the internet. For as much of for all the claims of like mass surveillance of netizens and people alike in China, for all the claims of like no homosexuality being allowed in China, the greatest antidote to all of that stuff is just experiencing it. Okay? And if you can't experience it personally, you should still keep an open mind. If you can't experience it personally, you should keep an open mind. You should watch the stream. It's like one of the things that I've observed that I find really strange has basically been people going, all of the preconceptions I had about China when met with observable reality doesn't match like observable reality that I'm seeing from the streams. Okay? But that doesn't actually mean that I was wrong or my preconceptions were wrong. That actually means that this person is either A, doing propaganda, or B, there's an alternative reason for it. It must be because he's not going to other cities. Because like remember, people used to say like, oh, China is this like backwater peasant state. Everyone's poor. It's all fake. Tofu dreg, buildings, all this stuff. And now they've basically moved their narratives to, okay, well, the big cities are really nice, but like you haven't gone to the little cities yet. You know, you just haven't gone to the little cities. Just that's what it is. That's go to the poorest city in China, and then we'll talk. And it's like, okay, man, have you seen our rural cities in America? Like, what do you mean? But yeah, in any case, as far as our experiences here goes, like people really love it. The crew really loves it. They're enjoying their time here. I'm enjoying my time here, obviously. And it's been a spectacular experience overall. It is really fun. It's been really, really fun. I think more and more streamers will probably come out here in general because like there's just so much to do. I lived in China 7 years and speak it fluently. Homosexuality is banned there in the movies, etc. Of course, not illegal to be gay, but it is illegal to show it at all, and it's also illegal to marry someone of the same sex. You are spreading misinformation. No, I'm saying that like, okay, you just described it. Okay, you literally just described it. That's it. Like, that's what I mean. I didn't say any of those things that you added on. I'm saying that there are hella gay people doing gay shit all over. But the way that Americans cover it, the way that Americans talk about it, is that it's just not like there's no homosexuality. Like it's just like they'll throw you in prison for being gay. That's not the case at all. That's the whole point. But if you ask the average American, I think they just like want to cope about the situation. I was reading something online about the complexities as far as like outward expressions and demonstrations. It's not like you can do that on social media. That's not a problem at all, right? But as far as like marriage goes, I don't think it's recognized by the state. China was more progressive than the U.S. on homosexuality till like 2007, exactly. And then the United States lapped it up with the legalization of gay marriage. Having said that, what's interesting about it is that, oh shit, they posted it. American internet celebrity Mr. Hassan, the Zhongsan suit I custom ordered yesterday arrived this morning for a try on. Oh damn, they posted me up. Anyway, we'll look at that in a second. Can we wrap this up? My bad. Some Fox News podcast kind of implies you are the left's version of a groiper. That's so awesome.
Sides extremists.
You know what's funny about this? Like, calling me the left's version of Nick Fuentes immediately and automatically shows that there is like an asymmetry of morality between the right and the left. Okay? Because if the scariest guy, if the most frustrating, scariest guy on the left is a guy who's saying, like, you know, there are certain lessons we can learn. All countries have issues, but there are certain lessons we could learn from fucking, China in terms of development. Or everyone should have health care. Everyone should have free college education. And that the reason why you can't get it is because capital owners have designed this system to ensure that they are maxing out, ensure that they're profit maxing. If that's the most extreme version of the left, and the most extreme version of the right is just like a dude trying to do the Holocaust again to everyone. Yeah, I feel like maybe there is a very interesting balance in the scales here. Like you can't sincerely look at these two different people. And then on the one side, you got a dude who's like, yeah, everybody should have healthcare. That's crazy that like in the richest nation on the planet, 700,000 people are going to sleep outside. Like that's unacceptable. And we need to fix that. We need to fix that with like a stronger government. Is as terrifying to some people on the right, if not even more terrifying to some people on the right, than a person straight up saying, that they like Adolf Hitler. They're trying to say you're both the same due to your position on Israel. Elon Levy is mad. Oh, it's because of the Gal Gadot stuff. What's the difference between Hassan Piker and Nick Fuentes? Just read the quote in Fuentes' voice. It's the same hateful anti-Zionist rage. Yashar Ali defends me, says there's actually a big difference between the two, and I think you're making a big mistake by conflating them. And this doesn't mean you need to agree with or endorse Hassan, but there's a difference. Yes, but is the difference significant enough to justify one getting a spread in a major magazine and virtually no pushback from the left? Yes. Yes, it is, as a matter of fact. Yes. There is a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. And I'm glad that there are at least some people who recognize that, because the reality of the matter is we're getting anti-Zionism whether these guys want to fucking agree to it or whether these guys recognize it or not. The difference is, will we have a non-anti-Semitic anti-Zionism, which is simply anti-Israel due to Israel's policies, due to Israel's like ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, or will we be getting an anti-Semitic version of an anti-Israel, anti-Zionist sentiment in this country? And the more people conflate these things, the more people conflate these two, the more they make people lean into the second version, okay? And it's very, very frustrating that a lot of people don't understand it. I'm anti-Israel because I'm anti-fascist. Okay? I'm anti-Israel because I'm anti-fascist. I'm anti-Israel because I abhor racism. Nick Fuentes' worldview also revolves around, calling black people and brown people. Like Nick Fuentes wants there to be an Israel-style situation here in America for white people. I don't want that. Okay? I don't want that Israel-style apartheid structure to exist anywhere around the world. That's the difference. I guess tomorrow after learning that Trump blew Clinton, sucking ain't gay. Oh no, that's not gonna happen. Let me tell you. All right, I've taken 2 poops this morning, and I think I might need to do more. Hopefully it'll be fine. But I'm alive. And as far as the personal news goes, poop stream, Poopanabi, yeah. No, literally. Where were you when you found out the Trump Clinton news? I was here. I saw it earlier. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing from the news about like, or people recognizing different parts of the emails, like we've already looked at, because we did a comprehensive broad search on all of the emails that went out. The difference is the more it gets in the mainstream, the more people freak out for understandable reasons. But we'll cover all of that in a second. What is this? Simply put, flowers need green leaves to stand out. Compare XQC and eyebrow raises to see Hassan is indeed handsome among foreign streamers. After seeing too many goblins, someone as fresh as Hassan naturally gets a filter. At least that's how it is for me. I have zero confidence there will be any consequence for this. Can you imagine this changing? I think there is I think it's already started. The consequences have already started. I wouldn't write it out so quickly. I wouldn't be so quick to say, "Oh, nothing is happening." There's so much meat watch on the timeline as well. Do you think that when the case against Joseph Trump doesn't have to release the files? We'll see what happens. I don't think the files are going to come out with Donald Trump being president. This was not on my 2025 prediction list. I mean, yeah, it has been crazy. After a long and treacherous journey, he's accepting. What is this?
I love what a nerd you are.
I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, no, jazz hands. I'm trying. Is that good? Are you happy? Are you happy?
I was literally telling you that I appreciate you. I love you. What was that shit?
5, 6, 7.
I don't know anymore. I don't know what you guys like. I don't know what you want from me.
Also, you know what?
They got my boy. I know they did. They cooked me, dude. They cooked me.
She's like, hip hop is for you.
Jazz hands.
What do you know about Hello Dolly?
Oh my god.
This is hip hop.
Bill on my Clinton till I Trump all over the bill. Damn. CCP's using you as a white monkey. Wake up and stand with. Oh god, dude, shut up. Jesus Christ. Your theater kid is Chinese and from the 40s. MTG shitting on Trump. Let's go. Your face is getting red. It's not. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed about my lack of theater kid energy. I don't mind not being a theater kid. I wish I had more I wish I could actually move around better though, you know? Hassan's travel in China further undermines the $1.6 billion. Yeah, people have been losing their fucking minds over this shit. It's crazy. You can't even go to a goddamn country that is responsible for 30% of trade with the United States without the entire anti-China constituency, the entire anti-China NatSec Twitter losing their fucking minds over it. Speed did it first, El Hassan. No, I know. Your hotel room literally looks like it could have come from a hotel room in Cyberpunk 2077. Chongqing is the Cyberpunk 2077 city, so yes. Donica Levinsky. Oh my god. Speed did not get a fraction of the pushback. Yes, because iShowSpeed's fans are 12 years old. So if you have serious analysts getting mad at iShowSpeed, their fans just go, dude, shut the fuck up. Half of them don't even know how to read. So yeah, it doesn't hit the same. I'm a political commentator, so obviously there are a lot of haters. Sometimes oh shit. Sometimes it's low-key better to just deal with people like that by going, L nerd, shut the fuck up. China on top, you know? It is stupid. It is actually stupid the way that these guys react. The way that these guys react is actually stupid. The way that these guys react is actually crazy. Wait, is that hot pot room service in the back? What the fuck? No. Recently, a lot of foreign streamers seem to react like, wait, we were just pretending, you're actually serious? Indeed, Asuma's witnessing skills are definitely not as good as Hassan's. He often makes mistakes while talking. An entertainment host trying to provoke a thought-provoking host. An entertainment streamer who won't even step outside to see more of the world, just hiding indoors and nitpicking others, is hilarious. What is this? Everyone in the comment section should really think carefully. Hassan is an immigrant in the U.S. and also an immigrant in China. Since he loves China so much, why did he move to China earlier? He's good friends with that Mehdi Hassan. Using an Asmongold ID to make others think carefully is quite... Oh, Transmongold is quite hilarious. Is he deliberately creating disagreements to attract traffic? First of all, I'm an American citizen. And secondly, I don't think it's that easy to just move to China. Imagine a Chinese person going to live in the U.S. and saying they're already an American. What would the comment section look like? Lots of Chinese people hate Mehdi. Yeah, of course, because he's so libbed up on China. He is so aggro on China. That's what it is. That's one of my major disagreements with him too. That he is anti-China. Mehdi Hassan is anti-China. He's a liberal. I mean, he's great. I really respect him. But that is the definitive disagreement that I have with him as well. I think it is pretty funny though, because like I said, Chinese netizens are so well read that it's and also automatically not immediately reactionary, both to their own country and also both to the concept of like socialism or communism or whatever, right? So it's funny to see an alternative. It's funny to see like an overwhelming sea of comments. Like this doesn't mean that there aren't like dummies among Chinese netizens, of course. There are dummies everywhere, right? But it's always interesting to see where the base is, right? Like where the starting position is, where the base is. It's cool. Even though I have penetrated the firewall a little bit by explaining to the bitty bitty audience American brain rot. What does this actually go to tweet? What the hell is this? They list every tragedy in China's early revolutionary history as if they were unique, unprecedented, and unforgivable. For some reason, I'm extremely interested in the Chinese fruits behind you. Are they regular sized? Yes. The fruits here are next level. Stop clicking the links and get started, please. Okay, this is us starting. You know that, right? Like, calm down. I know I didn't like immediately do news coverage yesterday, but can you fucking calm down, chatters? Anyway, here, this is the Fox News disagreement on this guy is apparently saying I'm like the Nick Fuentes of the left.
Ezra, I would say you should be cleaning up your own house on the left and fighting the pikers. And piker, the groypers are on the right, and in doing so,
it's funny.
Of that political movement. So they have come under pretty withering and often I find very unconvincing attack from those people. How dare you support abundance? We want socialism. They view it as a betrayal ideologically. So he's taken a lot of incoming for that. And recently he's been, I guess, trying to get back in their good graces. So he was really pushing the government shutdown. He was very angry at the Democrats for ending their government shutdown. And now he's talking about, you know, how terrible the groypers are on the right. And in doing so, in the podcast, Ezra Klein cites positively a guy called Hassan Piker as some sort of arbiter, I guess, of whether or not the groypers are odious. And they...
Wait, he did? The fuck? Yo, we got an Ezra Klein mention? I didn't realize. You can tell the police everything about... What? The funny thing is that TSA's been rejecting tourists for memes about the vice president. Yeah, I know. When did Ezra Klein speak positively about the boy? I didn't see that. I saw him hit the... I did see him hit the Zoran is actually very good. And I was like, nice. Okay. Eventually you're going to land on a good take. You know what I mean? You're going to eventually land on a good take. This was this thing that I saw online where he's like, I've met Zoran Mamdani. I voted for Zoran Mamdani. I don't think there's anything anti-Semitic about him at all, says Ezra Klein. Yeah, exactly. JD Vance's motorcade ran over a cop in Tennessee. Oh my God. Are you serious? Dude, what is happening in America, man? What the fuck is this goddamn country? Ay, 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 brother. Oh. These guys are such incompetent assholes, man. It is wild. It is wild what this country gets up to on a daily basis. Remember, they also blew up artillery over the fucking California Highway Patrol and almost killed another cop because Donald Trump felt like he wanted to do something big. All right, the Marines were shooting live munition. BDBD stream today? Yes, there will be a BDBD stream today. I've been really enjoying the BDBD streams. Anyway, what else does this guy say? I can't believe that I learned about Ezra Klein mentioning me on a podcast from this fucking dipshit. I don't even know who this guy is.
Are morally odious. But I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in taking lectures from Ezra Klein or anyone else who is going to positively cite Hassan Piker about the growing influence of extremism in our politics, because Hassan Piker, Pikerism, if you will, the socialist communist.
The Pikerism, yeah. Socialist communism with abundance characteristics. Is that what you're going to say? Whether it be on the small a abundance, the normal term for Pikerism, Marxist, Leninist, socialist, socialism with abundance characteristics. Like luxury goods, the existence of luxury goods, not Veblen goods necessarily, but luxury goods for all. and also on top of that, a high emphasis on development. What the fuck? This guy said pikerists. Does he know I'm a Twitch streamer? Like, that's so funny. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pro-terrorism, pro-Hamas, dirtbag left. They are the...
Okay, one aspect of this that I think is really funny is that the pushback against people like myself of this sort from the right, does that remind you of something? It's unironically a good thing to have the Republicans... It's unironically a good thing to have Republicans behave like this, okay? Straight up. It's a good thing. I'll tell you why. Because they also sound like a bunch of little babies, okay? They sound like a bunch of little babies. And of course, obviously, what the hell? It's crazy because I don't know if you guys heard, but I just said... Yeah, I'm back. It's back. It was a 1 second. It was a 1 second F. Calm down. We getting hacked. No. Couple things. Okay. It rates stutter. It's lagging. Wait, really? Can't tell if it's still still lagging, or are you guys seeing me clearly now? Oh, it's still. Wait, what the fuck? Why? That's weird. Uh-oh. It's going up and down. Uh-oh. Hold on a moment. Hold on. Hold. Not a joke. It's very choppy. Okay, calm down. We're going to fix it. I'm going to fix it. We are going to fix it. I don't know why it's fucked right now. It just came out of nowhere. It's dropping to 0. It's just going in and out. 1 second. Why is this happening? Let's see. Okay, hopefully it'll be fine now. I don't know. There were some issues. I think it should be hopefully fine. But in any case, to be attacked by the enemy is not a bad thing, but a good. Okay, a little choppy. Doesn't make any sense. It's not fucking on my end. It is actually fucked up. I don't know what's going on. I'm back, but it just keeps getting in and out, and it's just like ass for some reason. The record is not good. I don't know. It's just dropping to 0 over and over again, and I don't know why. Let's see. I hope I was able to fix it. Explain something to you. I don't know if the audio is bad again or not, and oh shit, it looks like it keeps dropping. I think it's better. It's muted. Okay, hold on. I'm working on fixing it. It's just like it's good for a second and then it drops, and I don't know what it is. Hold on. Change VPN server. Man, shut up. The backpack is getting all of the fucking internet. It's not a problem. It's not the backpack. Okay, calm down. Hold on. I need to use Google Translate to look at this fucking VPN. I don't even know. Okay.
Of good fortune or just being a normal person, you had not heard of Nick Fuentes until this month. Chances are you've heard of him now.
Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable.
He's what I would call a racist. He's this troll.
Nick Fuentes has said very vile things.
Big time. He's a booger-eating, white supremacist, Holocaust denier.
The reason I'm talking about this is Tucker Carlson, who is arguably the most significant media figure on the American right, hosted Fuentes for a very friendly 2-hour chat.
I wanted to meet you. I've heard about you.
I've heard about you.
About the problem of Israel, but the problem of whether or not they fit in this country or their loyalties are elsewhere.
What is happening? Let's see. Is it better? Okay. I think it might be working. Oh, I'm back. Oh shit. Okay. Oh, nice. Okay. That was a strange experience, I will admit. Hopefully it doesn't drop again. What did we find out? I don't know. I basically had to swap out servers and stuff. I had to do a bunch of things, and I don't want to talk about it. But yeah. Okay, what we were talking about beforehand was that Republicans are babies, and they behave like babies. And the reason why I was even talking about that is because like there is this major fissure happening on the right with Nick Fuentes, and of course Ezra Klein has talked about it as well, and he's talked about like the dangers of anti-Semitism on the right. And how anti-Semitism is even being weaponized against those on the left who are not anti-Semitic at all. And this Fox News clown ass was apparently very pissed off about that because Ezra Klein seemingly mentioned me in a positive way. And he considers that to be unacceptable because he's trying to make this idiotic argument that, as a matter of fact, many of the liberals on the internet also try to make, which is that I am just as dangerous a figure, just as vile a figure as Nick Fuentes. And he even went so far as to say that he even went so far as to say that I have like a vile ideology. He said it was pikerism, as though it's like a real fully fleshed out ideology. And to which I said, to be attacked by the enemy is not a bad thing, but a good thing, right? It's okay. It's okay that they say there is a distinction between someone like myself and someone like this dipshit, right? I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. I think it's good, partially because it forces these guys. What the fuck is going on? God damn it.
Extremists are.
It's good because
and this is what
it forces these guys to basically explain exactly what they mean. Lean in. Explain it. What do you mean by this? What is the major difference between someone like myself and someone like Nick Fuentes? Because there are very significant differences. And when you start trying to make those, when you start trying to explain those things, when you start with the process of explanation, you will inevitably arrive at what this person's worldview actually looks like. And at that point, you can basically figure out for yourself whether this is a good person or a bad person. The reason why he tries to make this designation known, make this distinction be known, or lack of distinction rather, is because he wants to say that my worldview is as dangerous as Nick Fuentes's. Okay, explain why you think Nick Fuentes' worldview is dangerous, and then explain why you think my worldview is dangerous. And then we can move on from there, right?
Is worrisome to me. I'm not sure if the right is going to ultimately be successful in marginalizing people who need to be, in my view, when the left is taking their own equivalents on that extreme, on that radical side, and not just indulging them, but increasingly embracing them. Right? Hassan Piker was a valued, honored guest at the Pod Bros Summit they just had, the Obama guys with their podcast. He was there. Yeah, come on, get on stage. We love you. He's had glowing pieces in GQ and the New York Times and I think Variety. He's this handsome young guy. Maybe he's the next big thing on the left. Almost always whitewashing the appalling things that this guy says and believes. You'd never see that kind of coverage for the Groypers, and you shouldn't.
Yeah. Is it whitewashing the things that I'm saying? Or is it not negatively framing it in the way that you would, because you are right wing? Because there is a distinction here. There is a difference here. There is a difference ultimately with the maximalist position of communism versus the maximalist position of fascism. Okay? And while I do not call myself a communist, I have no issue with the term and I have no issue with the designation whatsoever. Okay? I don't. And that's the reason why these guys get so freaked out by it, where they'll be like, oh, he has even said he thinks communism is an honorable end goal. It's like, okay, explain it. Explain it. Why do you not think it is? We're not talking about whether it is achievable or not. We are talking about whether it is good or not, because a utopian vision, a utopian version of fascism implies that there is like some kind of genetic, ethnic, sectarian purity. The utopian version the utopian end goal, the goal to strive towards under communism is a statesless, classless, moneyless society, a borderless society. I don't understand how you can look at these two things and be like, well, one is dangerous and scary, the other one is also dangerous and scary. It doesn't make any sense. It's very stupid. But of course, a lot of the right-wing Republicans against Trump people are doing this as well. Why is this account just going crazy all of a sudden? I thought this was the Lincoln Project, but now they're just doing right-winger shit. Lincoln Project and related nonprofits' secondary purposes to attack the left. They pivoted to this stuff in 2019 to attack Sanders. Well, technically, they're still Republicans, yes? Or is that just the name? Yes, they are Republicans. Yeah, it's honestly upsetting to me because before I became more far left in my politics, Lincoln Project people were like this beacon of bipartisanship and what could be possible. Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's the enemy from within. And as long as they are anti-Republican, I'll stand by them, you know? I'm happy with their output. But of course, they have other goals in mind as well. And one of those goals is to try and attack the left. Try and attack the left flank of the Democrats, okay? Try to ensure that there is no like left flank within the Democratic Party infrastructure, which of course abides by the interests of the centrist liberals anyway, the institutional Democrats that want to maintain their level of influence and prominence over the levers of control within the party. So that is the ideological battle that's taking place. And it's just another version of that same ideological battle. Here we have the Republicans who are still Republicans complaining about me, though. Let's take a look.
But interesting that these lefty journalists and others are saying, well, yeah, those people are terrible. But if we have people like that on our side, you know, I kind of like the cut of their jib. This Piker guy, he's got muscles. He dresses well. He's got a following. We need this, I guess, to win. And you see how they justify laundering someone like that while insisting that the other side must take out its trash. And I just have no interest hearing any of that from Ezra Klein or any of these people. And you might say, well, is it really the same? Yeah, it's the same. Hassan Piker has just spent the last several days, it seems, in China, sucking up at every opportunity to the Chinese Communist Party and regime. He was in Tiananmen Square where the commies famously killed a bunch of people. And he was there just basically waving the flag on behalf of the communist regime. I mean, after all, he is a communist, right? After Zoran Mamdani, his BFF apparently, won the...
Oh, W communism. W communism. I didn't even... Is it really the same? Even he knows what he's saying is bullshit. Yeah. I can't believe Hassan Piker is in China. Okay. I can't believe Hassan Piker is in China. And talking about what the Western world could also do to improve the material conditions of the working class in the Western world. You have been to Times Square where bad shit has also happened historically. That's true. Do you want him to go to Vietnam where the capitalists famously killed a bunch of civilians? No, he wants me to go to Vietnam. And then I'm going to be like, hey, the Communist Party of Vietnam, this is, we're at the center of this, Ho Chi Minh City. And he's going to be like, you know how many brave American soldiers were killed? Do you know how many brave American soldiers were killed here? White people, Americans. How dare he? How dare he do this? This is unacceptable. Hassan in China. Wow, trains. It would be nice to have trains back in the USA. Exactly. Tiananmen Square, the Times Square of China. Okay, yeah, that's disrespectful. Bro, so stupid. It's literally this. How can they say these are the same? Yeah, the left is having a conversation about expanding food and healthcare coverage amid a recession, and the right is talking about how low they can draw the line for pedophilia. To me, tell me it's hard to see which side is fucking evil. Like, even with the most base-boosted version of these ideologies, there is a reason why people are unafraid to call themselves socialists and communists, even in a country like the United States of America that has waged war against communism, as opposed to the fact that many people are, at least until, at least for now, still worried about the moniker of Nazism and fascism. And that is because fascism is an objectively evil, repulsive ideology, an ideology that revolves around the eradication of entire subsects of society simply on the basis of their ethnic identity, simply on the basis of their nationality, simply on the basis of their religious beliefs, simply on the basis of their race, okay? These inalienable qualities must be forcibly excised from society. That is at the root of fascism, okay? That is the reason why fascist ideology is an inherently suicidal ideology. There's an inevitability to the end of fascism, no matter how much fascists think that they can keep it going, because it's a constant struggle to just like destroy different outgroups. Socialism is, on the other hand, not even, it's just an economic system, right? It's an ideology that revolves around, obviously there's like a socio-political wing and a socio-political understanding of the world associated with it. Having said that, socialism is a different organization of the economy as opposed to capitalism. That's it. It's an evolution of capitalism, just as capitalism was an evolution of feudalism. Capitalism was a welcomed evolution from feudalism and the feudal structures. Liberal capitalism was objectively good when it first, in comparison to how things were. Liberal capitalism was an objectively good evolution away from feudal societies and monarchies and whatnot. Okay? Just as socialism, in the way that I see it, is an objectively good evolution from capitalism. But the reason why there is a difference, the reason why it's not, inappropriate to say you're a socialist in the same way that it is inappropriate to say you're a fascist. Like, fascists need to hide their power levels, quote unquote. Whereas socialists don't necessarily need to do that, right? I don't have any fucking issue with that. I mean, there are entire countries that are run with this identity. I mean, China is a country that is run by a communist party, right? There's a communist party in Kerala, which has been able to destroy extreme poverty in India, right? There are very successful communist parties all around the world. I mean, another example is Vietnam, and the way these guys just kind of lean into the danger and the Red Scare propaganda that has been implemented, it's just not going to continue working in the ways that it did. You could get a lot of mileage out of this kind of commentary and this kind of fear mongering maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but you can't do it anymore. And the reason why you can't do it anymore is because people can see their material realities deteriorating day in and day out. And that's it. When you are a young guy growing up in the United States of America and you see everything going to fucking shit, and, the real movers and shakers in American politics is about like whether or not Trump sucked the former President Bill Clinton's penis. Okay? Come on, China doesn't even have free healthcare or higher education. How can you even say it's remotely communist? It's still a capitalist country. I can't tell if you're like a left com or just a coping American Westoid. But first of all, I didn't even say China is communist. China is not a communist nation yet. It is run by a communist party. It is a transitional socialist state. Okay? I said it's run by a communist party, just like the USSR was run by a communist party. Okay? It's so funny that like people's analysis on this is like, when you want to criticize China, you're just like, oh, well, if you like certain things about China, you're like, well, it's because it's capitalist. If you don't like China, it's because it's communist. And yes, while healthcare isn't free in the country, there are tight price controls on everything, including fucking healthcare. It's infinitely more affordable than the United States of America. And I think that's like an area of need and an area of improvement regardless. But these are transitional socialist states that are aspiring towards this goal. Okay? Whether they get there one day or not, who knows? But that is the direction that they're moving towards. That's it.
Race in New York City, Hassan Piker was an honored guest, it would seem, at the election night party. And we played this clip last week. Here he was lamenting something about fairly recent world history. Cut 5.
We are in the heart of the imperial core. This is the country that defeated the USSR, unfortunately.
This is the country, America, that defeated the USSR, unfortunately. He's sad that the Soviets lost the Cold War. He's been spending his days in communist China.
Yes, the dissolution of the USSR was an unfortunate disaster, not only for the Eastern Bloc, not only for Russia in particular, especially, but also for the world. I will stand on this. You don't even need to like the USSR to agree with this point, by the way, because it is an objective fact. Not only did the material conditions deteriorate dramatically in places like Russia, but the USSR presented a dangerous alternative, one that many social democrats, even in Europe, used as a threat of a dangerous alternative to actually advance a lot of expansions of the pre-existing social safety nets. There is a reason why, in the aftermath of the dissolution of the USSR, the world, the Western world in general, has unironically collapsed because of the unimaginable success of capital. That's it. If you look to the period of the Cold War, while there is many struggles, many countries, including the United States of America, were at the very least looking at the dangers that the USSR presented as an alternative vision for how the world could be constructed, and were objectively terrified by it, which is why capital owners allowed the bourgeois parties and liberal capitalist democracies to at least advance some degree of socialization. Post-Reagan, there is no alternative, and capital is dominating, and we see how wonderful that has been. Without that level of ideological competition, and this is like the most centrist analysis I can give you, right? But without that level of ideological competition amongst capitalists and socialists around the world, you see what pure capitalism looks like. You see what capital domination looks like. Increased monopolization, increased corporate interest capture of both parties, deregulation, massive economic problems. Housing is purely a speculative asset at this point. And of course, that creates an unaffordability crisis, which creates homelessness, which creates so many other economic problems. That's it. I will, however, say that I'm not going to lie, Donald Trump already went to China. And I don't know if he is the American Gorbachev, but like the reality of the matter is, was it Khrushchev or was it Gorbachev that in that experience going to an American grocery store looked around and was like, was it Yeltsin? I can't remember. No, it was Yeltsin. Okay, I think it was Yeltsin that looked around and saw all of the goods that the everyday Americans, all of the goods that everyday Americans could purchase. You saw the tweet? No. This is not about a tweet. This is like a very famous. I think it's from a book that I've suggested here before. It's about like the USSR collapsing in and of itself. The USSR collapsing in and of itself, and it places a lot of blame basically on the leadership at the time, and there is truth to that. But the anecdote is Yeltsin goes into a Houston supermarket and he looks around and he sees the abundance. He sees all of the items that the average American has access to, and he says, if my people saw this, they would revolt. Okay? That has, in my opinion, always been a major factor under socialist governance. You have to allow your people to have goods. You have to allow your people to have treats. If you don't allow your people to have goods and treats, they are going to get mad. That was the threat of, from the socialist perspective, that level of abundance in commodities and treats was, and when I say abundance, I don't mean like the fucking Derek Thompson, Ezra Klein version, okay? I just mean like the actual abundance, which I'm fucking annoyed because it's a word I use all the time. And whenever I say abundance, people now assume I'm talking about Derek Thompson and fucking Ezra Klein's book. No, I mean like actual small a abundance, okay? But that has always been an incredibly powerful tool in keeping the population happy. Boris Yeltsin's trip to Houston area Randall changed the world. The Soviet politician saw some pudding pops and lost his mind. This is something that Americans cannot comprehend because you have always lived in a world where you have 50 different flavors of Oreos, okay? Maybe it was 30 different flavors of Oreos in the 90s and now it's 50, but like you've always lived in a world where there is like there is a diversity of options. Whether that diversity is actually totally fake because it's actually 6 corporations that are producing all of these different goods and make it seem as though you have the fallacy of choice, it doesn't matter. That choice still very much exists. And that is ultimately a good thing. Okay? This is something that I've talked about quite a bit. The illusion of choice. Sorry, not the fallacy of choice. When Boris Yeltsin saw that, it fucking bricked him. He was like, this is, if my people saw this, they would, they would riot. Right? And I think nowadays, China has become that alternative threat. And many other countries that are still developing are becoming increasingly that alternative threat. There is no way you can remain as stunted in your worldview if you are a well-traveled individual. You don't even need to just go to China to experience this, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Okay? I will just say it. I'll say it like this. You guys know my opinions on Chinese development and how much I rode for it even before coming to China. And in many respects, I wasn't shocked by the things I've seen here. It just reaffirmed my beliefs. And that's what's interesting about it. Because like Chinese people ask me all the time, like, so what has been so shocking to you about China? And it's like, I think they expect me to say like, oh my God, I can't believe like how beautiful the cities are, how developed China is, because the automatic expectation from a white Westerner is that they are going to, China is going to shock them. It has not shocked me at all because I was, keeping up with a lot of what was going on here. And it's only proven what I have seen. It's only proven what I've read. It's only proven to me like what I already believed from what I had read. My point is, right now, if there was an honest discussion, if the average American actually came to the Chinese nation, okay, People's Republic of China, and experienced it, especially given what their perspective is prior to coming here, they would actually lose their minds. This already kind of happened with iShowSpeed because his audience is not as tuned in and not as aware about the comings and goings of China. So when they saw it, they were like, wow, this is, not like anything I thought it was. They're living in the future. And it is us who is living in the past. We thought that we were in the future and these guys were like a backwater, peasant country that is incredibly poor. Anyway, I think anyone that comes here will basically like you don't have to be like ideologically committed to socialism or communism or anything like that. And if you were to travel here and experience it for yourself, you would realize that it's actually pretty good. There's a lot of things that are good here. This doesn't mean that the Chinese government is devoid of issues. Of course, there are many issues. There are issues in every country, right? In every government. But things are not as they seem from afar. If you have been, exclusively consumed like anti-Chinese propaganda for the most part, as many Americans have, and you come here and you experience it, you're gonna be like, you are going to have a bunch of revelations. Travel in this economy, well, that's also the other side of the story, of course. That is truly a problem. Yeah, good luck.
Saying things like this. This is a new quote from Mr. Piker, cut 1.
I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart for America, but just in general. I'm not like a very, I care about people.
I have no sort of...
I love that they also try to clip that out of context, but like even clipped out of context, it just straight up it just straight up shows exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not a very patriotic person. I'm at Tiananmen Square. I'm talking about like my own personal opinions about patriotism. I'm saying like I'm not a very patriotic person, so I don't fully understand like why people are this patriotic. Why Chinese people are this patriotic, right? And they are fucking losing their minds over this quote. They're like, oh, he's in Tiananmen Square waving a Chinese flag saying I'm not a very patriotic person, to imply that I'm patriotic for China instead. Like they're trying to do a dual loyalty trope. They're trying to be like, oh, he's patriotic for China first and foremost. It's like, no, that's actually the opposite of what I was saying. I was saying I don't feel a sense of patriotism for America, nor do I feel a sense of patriotism for any country, really, not Turkey either. I care about people. You can see it in the fucking quote. They're trying to say that patriotic is exclusively American because they're illiterate.
Patriotism in my heart for America. Yeah, that seems pretty clear. You wish we lost, apparently, the Cold War. He's not just saying that on his endless live streams, where apparently he zaps his dog with a shock collar if the dog gets up to stretch. Isn't that lovely? But he is on the soil of a foreign adversary country.
I do think that this level of anger and resentment will negatively, will actually end up working in the opposite direction. This is why I said it is not a bad thing that our enemies oppose us. It is a good thing, right? It's just like this guy is very clearly losing his fucking mind over this. And I think if liberals were to see that, they'd be like, yeah, I think you're a little crazy. Okay? I think you are losing the plot a little bit. Maybe we should calm down.
Run by a totalitarian communist regime, and he's bragging about his total lack of patriotism for the country that has made him extremely rich. Does he believe in political violence? Yes, he does. I know he claims, oh, no, of course not. No, he wants people to ignore the many things that he says. He lies. Because he said this publicly, cut 3.
Kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
Yeah, no, that was sincere. You got me. I'm an advocate for that.
Cut 4, in case you missed the point.
I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be showing your opponent's guts.
This is about a debate. Yeah, they cut when I say in a video game, in the previous quote, when I'm actually talking to a landlord, ironically enough, a landlord who was a friend of mine. And then also on top of that, this is all the post Charlie Kirk fallout, where like people were doing the clip compies where they were like, he's real violent. What I'm talking about is in this quote that they're showing, what I'm talking about is that like liberals need to be more cutthroat. They need to be more cutthroat in debates. Okay? They need to be more cutthroat in debates. They can't be pussying out
on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers and letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the is this man? Slice them up. Slice them and dice them.
Let the streets soak in their bleeping red capitalist blood. And it's not metaphorical either, because he's a big fan of that guy who murdered, allegedly, the healthcare CEO in cold blood in New York City. Big fan of that guy. Big fan of Hamas and terrorists who kill Jews. He said that every act of resistance is legal, talking about that conflict.
Under international law, the oppressed people have a right to militant resistance. This is an objective fact. Take it up with international law. Is this slander? No. What this is a classic case of taking things that I'm saying either out of context or greatly exaggerating what the statement I'm making is. Like, what he is describing currently is unironically the underpinning of the Second Amendment. If you ask a Republican why they believe in the Second Amendment, they will say, oh, well, because we have to have an armed resistance, a well-armed militia, well-regulated and well-armed militia to potentially do an uprising against a tyrannical state, right? That's unironically, definitionally what the Second Amendment is. So when you say that as a right-winger, they go, hell yeah, brother, you're a patriot. When I say that, other people also have a right to do that. under international law, because they do. These guys go, oh, he wants brown people to do that? Well, no. That's not allowed. Do you see what I mean? This is getting old, man. Every day we cover no-name dipshits who bring up your... I mean, this is on Fox News. This is a Fox News podcast. It's a little bit different. And the reason... I didn't even know that this was going to be a clip compilation. And the only reason why I brought this up is because he was trying to say Hassan is the same as Nick Fuentes. And even at best, read the comments, this guy's getting roasted. At least the left doesn't support pedophiles. Release the files. GOP, guardians of pedos. Well, look at this. So hypocritical. DOG replaces Trump's identical signatures on pardons. Fox continues to avoid airing the biggest stories and instead showcases National Enquirer type fluff. Fox fans don't know any better. They're like mushrooms kept in the dark. What's behind the upgrade of the Ghislaine Maxwell prison situation? Speech. I'm sure you'd listen to the full-length interview. You will see for yourself what's true and untrue about Nick Fuentes. Okay, this person is defending Nick Fuentes. You'll turn soon. Our neighbor was outside peeling the Trump sticker off his truck yesterday. Too bad his church and family suffered so much for his selfishness. Those used to be the most important things in his life before Trump. Yeah, people don't give a fuck about any of this shit.
He's talked about how the Jews of Israel are all inbred. I mean, it's just one bigoted, racist, extreme thing after another. Oh, what does he think? He said he doesn't have any patriotism for America. Yeah, no kidding, because he not only is sad that we lost the Cold War, that we won the Cold War.
This is boomer shit. Brother, you have not established a robust enough line of defense by actually materially improving the lives of the next generation to be talking like this. Okay? I think these guys don't realize that American patriotism is so fucking hollow at this point. It's just literally going to Applebee's and eating $5 jalapeno poppers and watching F-35s fly over an incredibly costly and incredibly expensive endeavor, mind you, over doing a flyover before an NFL a game, okay? That's what American patriotism is. That's what it's turned into. It's entirely performative. It's incredibly hollow. And I don't think it works on people anymore. And the reason why it doesn't work on people anymore is because younger generations look to the circumstances and go, well, I don't have a fucking house. I will never be able to own a home. 50% of my fucking wages directly goes into my landlord's pockets, okay? If I'm saddled with student loan debt because college education is not free. It's one of the only OECD countries on the planet where it's unimaginably costly. It costs an arm and a leg to actually improve the labor force, and it's standing on the global stage. It's crazy that you have to pay for it like it's a fucking privilege to be educated. Okay? And then on top of that, you are saddled with that debt. So you take on a job that you actually didn't even specialize for. You take on a job that you didn't even study for, right? You just take on this job that you find to be meaningless. And you are trying to pay for that. You're trying to pay off the interest of that debt, which is constantly growing for years and years and years. And you don't have health care. Your health care is tied to your job. If you have one, if you're lucky enough to have one, it's tied to your fucking job. So you can't actually leave your job. Okay? And God forbid, even if you have health care and you have a medical incident, then you're saddled with fucking medical debt on top of that. We live in a country where people are taking out debt to purchase Domino's pizza, and these motherfuckers are talking about patriotism. That shit does not work if you have nothing to feel patriotic about. That's it. And that was what was so unique about the experience in Tiananmen Square from my perspective, because I saw a lot of old people there, right? Old people that had come from all around this massive country, that had traveled for an entire day, for example, to come there to see a flag get raised. To me, it is impossible to understand a level of patriotism of that sort, okay? And that was what was so unique about experiencing that. Because I cannot comprehend how anyone can feel that sense of loyalty to a state until you realize how different China was 30 years ago, until you realize how different China was 50 years ago. And if you were able to experience that difference, if you're able to experience, especially from like rural parts of China, the parts where many people overlook, the parts that many people say is extremely poor still, the parts where the gains were very significant. Sure, it's not a tier 1 city, but like you went from not having a fucking well in your village, you went from not having a road in your village to having drone delivery in your fucking village and 5G internet everywhere. Okay? When you experience that change, that material improvement in your life, you obviously are going to feel a sense of loyalty to the government and the ideology that you think created this new environment for yourself. And that's what it is. The farmland you didn't want to show us on the train path for your information. No, it's because it's fucking boring, chatter. That's the reason why I wasn't like hiding it from you or anything. You're so stupid. Not everything is like sinister, okay? That's a joke. Okay. I thought you were being serious. I thought you were one of those like anti-China hogs. I'm proud of my country when they do good progressive things for his people, but still don't get the flag stuff. Yeah. It's just another country with good and bad. China is a country just like every other country. There's rich people here. There's poor people here. Okay. It's just so strange that people still try to maintain this level of like anger and resentment towards this enemy. They're our enemy. They're our enemy. They're our enemy. You can't be positive about it. You can't have positive feelings about the enemy. How dare you do that? How dare you do that? That's unacceptable. And the reason why people do that is because they want to maintain this. They want to maintain this dynamic because there's no other thing to hold on to. Okay? What is this? You perceived yourself on the outside of your bubble. The narrative there is much different. Some sorts of enlightenment, as much as that is possible in a capitalist global reality. Still, you move closer to the boundaries of capitalist narrative. What?
That's his preferred side. The Soviets lost the Cold War. More recently, he also feels like, yeah, we deserved what we got on 9/11. Cut 8.
America deserved 9/11, dude. F it. I'm saying it. Like, we f***ing totally brought it on ourselves, dude. Holy shit. We did. We did. In a video game, whatever, hypothetically, politically.
He's so eloquent, isn't he? If we didn't have a bleep machine, we couldn't play any of this stuff over the air. He said more recently. That was in 2019, bitch.
And even then, you can see what I'm talking about. It's blowback. Guess what, dude? If we spent more money on fucking building high-speed rail and improving the fucking rural areas in this goddamn country, in the United States of America, instead of spending trillions so that fucking Dick Cheney and his buddies could make imaginable profits extracting the oil of Iraq, we would probably be in a much better situation overall in the United States of America. And also, I think the younger generations would probably fucking feel a sense of patriotism in their hearts because they would go, how could I hate America? How could I not feel patriotic about my country? After all, I've seen genuine improvements in my life. That's it. It's that simple. And a lot of people actually cannot comprehend this, okay? Many people have lost many people have lost their senses, I would say. They've lost all interest in demanding things from the government. They've lost all interest in the democracy. The concept of theoretical democracy, we've just completely dropped it. We're like, whatever. What is going to happen? Neither party speaks to my interests. Who gives a shit? I have to work. I have to go to work. At the end of the day, I have to go to fucking work, no matter who's in charge. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude that many Americans have. And it slowly but surely basically chips away at any kind of sense of loyalty that they might have to their own country. So if you don't want to see it from the perspective of uplifting all workers in this country, think about it from a national security concern if you want to do it that way, okay? So stupid. And then these guys, with their endless inability to address these material problems, these material realities, will then turn around and be like, no, this guy is your enemy. The guy who tells you you deserve healthcare, the guy who tells you you deserve better development, the guy who tells you that like a better future is possible in the United States of America, the wealthiest nation on the planet, where 700,000 people are fucking going to sleep outdoors. That's crazy. That's unacceptable. I'm the fucking villain here. I'm the one who is your enemy for telling you that there is a better future possible. And the reason why these people do that is because, well, some of them are actually ideologically invested in this narrative, and others are actually directly financially incentivized to say things like this, to fearmonger like this. And the reason why they're financially incentivized is because they're working on Fox News. They are protectors of the current system. They're protectors of the billionaires and the millionaires. They are protectors of capital and capital interests. And that's the reason why they have to constantly find different enemies, especially those who say, no, a better future is possible. A different alternative is out there, and we could experience it.
That is getting rave reviews and these glossy magazine covers and long stories about how fascinating he is and how wonderful he is from all these mainstream publications. And then one of them, the New York Times, has Ezra Klein out there saying, "Ooh, but look at that awful knuckle-dragging right-wing problem that they have with their extremists." And in that podcast episode, he cites the man that you've just been listening to, Hassan Piker, communist, anti-American, pro-terrorism, dog-torturing lunatic, pro-political violence psycho. He quotes him positively in attacking the Groypers and the problem that the right has. Clean up your own house, sir. The thing is, they don't want to. They want this ideology and these people in their house. They want their votes. They want their support. They want their clicks. And then they look down their nose from their very high horse about extremism on the right. Let us deal with
my worst quotes, either clipped out of context or reduced to mean nothing, are still nowhere near as bad as the average day on a Nick Fuentes stream, okay? Because the average day on a Nick Fuentes stream, at the end of the day, his ideology in its purest form revolves around talking about how other races are genetically inferior. And that is the reason why he spent this entire fucking broadcast talking about like how bad what I have to say actually is, and how scary what I'm saying actually is. Oh, clean up your own house. Every moment that you spend doing that is a moment where you don't have to talk about Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes saying that like miscegenation is like when a woman has sex with an animal, right? Like those are the types of things that he said, or denying the Holocaust, things of that nature, like historical atrocities. That's it. There's no comparison. There's no comparison unless you yourself find yourself to be ideologically close to fascism. And of course, if you're a fucking Fox News commentator, of course you're ideologically close to fascism. That's it. Right? That's why there are differences between Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes' worldview, but the differences are marginal. I would go so far as to say the difference in Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes' worldview is more marginal than the difference between myself and Ezra Klein's worldview. Because at the end of the day, Ezra Klein is still pro-capitalist. He's a liberal capitalist. He believes in capitalism. He thinks capitalism is good. You see what I mean? There is a bigger division between someone like myself and Ezra Klein than there is between Charlie Kirk, that guy Guy Benson, and Nick Fuentes. And that's precisely the reason why those guys, while they think, you know, Nick Fuentes is maybe dangerous and scary, will do everything they can to unironically defend the likes of Nick Fuentes at the end of the day. The difference is cosmetic at best. Yeah, like they both want mass deportation, for example. But I think that the real whiplash right now, or the real backlash, is coming from this. This Twitter post did LeBron numbers. And I don't mean LeBron numbers in the way that LeBron James is doing LeBron numbers on Twitter, which is not great. I love watching YouTube golf videos, random I know law, so cool, which, you know, LeBron was ratioed by friend of the show, Maya Higa. But the post in and of itself is doing LeBron numbers all over the timeline. And one thing I have noticed is that for the first time ever, a major news publication actually presented my quotes and actually presented my worldview. Okay? That's it. Normally, when the New York Times does a profile, or when all these other outlets do a profile on me, they talk about how hot I am. And while I don't necessarily mind that, okay, they rarely ever get into what my worldview looks like, what my beliefs are. It turns out when you actually do get into what my worldview is or what my beliefs are, and people encounter it for the first time ever and hear me in my own words, rather than filtered through a million different negative associations, rather than filtered in the most negative ways possible, it turns out people actually vibe with it quite a bit. Don't say, all right, buddy, this is serious. A week after appearing at the center of much media attention at Mamdani's victory party, Hassan Piker gets an unchallenged and promoted write-up in Variety, writing off Israel as an ethno-fascist state and saying Gal Gadot is a part of the sexualization ploy by the Israeli army. Will Miniger, I like Hassan too, but surely this kind of fawning tone and promotion doesn't befit a reporter of your stature. Is because you've had the right predictions and takes for years, it finally makes sense to certain audiences? Yes. People, I think, needed to see either more political defeats Liberals, I think, needed to actually experience even more political defeats for them to basically realize, like, oh shit, maybe we were lied to by a lot of centrist Democrats about how centrism is actually the method. Centrism is actually the movement. Centrism is actually the pathway to electability to defeat the Republicans. Terrifying how overnight it has become increasingly acceptable to demonize someone simply because they're from Israel. Yes, a digital pogrom, says Laura Loomer. Words have no meaning anymore. A digital pogrom. What's the difference between Hassan Piker and Nick Fuentes? Just read the quote in Fuentes' voice. It's the same hateful anti-Zionist rage. What Elon Levy doesn't understand is, I mean, he doesn't understand much, but what he doesn't understand in the situation is presenting Nick Fuentes as an anti-Zionist in an article where I actually say Nick Fuentes is like an insane anti-Semite, okay, and masks his anti-Semitism with anti-Zionism, is that this actually doesn't hurt me, dumbass. This actually promotes Nick Fuentes. These guys do not get it, okay? The pro-Israel people do not get it. Some of them do, and they don't care about growing anti-Semitism in the Western world because they think it suits the purpose of the Zionist project in general, right? If Jews are fearful of living in the West, maybe then they'll move to Israel, right? But many others, unironically, don't realize that they are making a country that they choose to live in a scarier place for them. They're making the country that they want to live in, they're making the country that they love, the United States of America, a scarier place to live in for Jews. Okay? That's it. Because they are unable to recognize that a defense of Israel, a robust defense of Israel, does not work any longer. And associating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is actually making people feel as though they might be more anti-Semitic than they actually previously thought they were, rather than making people question whether they should be anti-Zionist or not, or anti-Israel or not. It makes them go, okay, I guess I'm anti-fucking Semitic then. Why does Israel have this much institutional power then? Like, those are the questions that people are asking themselves. And many of these guys are completely unable to see. They are completely unable to see that reality. And it's something that I have warned about for the last 2 years. It's a thing that I have seen from afar. Why are you anti-Israel but not anti-China? What do you mean? What do you fucking mean? There is no comparison. There's no equivalence between the two. There's none. And you can go and look at my previous YouTube videos to understand why there is no equivalence. Is a thing that I've mentioned quite a bit. They're talking about the Cultural Revolution. Okay, sure. Anyway, as an ex-groiper, literally, yes, this is how I thought. If being anti-Israel makes me an anti-Semite, then I'm an anti-Semite. All the levers of power are telling me I'm wrong, so they all must be controlled by Jews. Yeah. No, that's it. That's like, these guys actually, pro-Israel people, unironically, make the same fucking arguments to the onlookers that groipers are making, that Nazis are making about Jewish control over American media, Jewish control over American politics. They are literally living that argument in the way that they operate. That's it. When you have all of these different politicians who are like, oh yeah, woke is dead, we're anti-woke, turn into the fucking biggest DEI defenders when it comes to Jewish people, specifically to defend the state of Israel, obviously. What the fuck are Americans supposed to assume here? What the fuck are right-wingers supposed to assume here? They're going to look at that and be like, the fuck? I thought, it was no holds barred. I'm a homegrown, corn-fed country boy from Arkansas, and you mean to tell me that I can shit on Mexicans, black people, Muslims all day, every day, but then, I make jokes about Jews, and all of a sudden I'm fucking public enemy number one? Okay, well then, maybe there is something to the narratives. Maybe there is something to the arguments. Like, that's what normal people experience. But yeah, we're moving on from this. The last point I wanted to make is Ezra Klein actually, I don't know if he covered me favorably here, with the exception of the first 20 seconds where I'm talking about Nick Fuentes and shit. But But yeah, Ezra Klein talked about Zohran Mamdani
Stroke of
not being
good
an
fortune.
anti-Semitic person.
Or just being a normal person, you had not heard of Nick Fuentes until this month. Chances are you've heard of him now.
Nick Fuentes is odious and despicable.
He's, I would call a racist. He's just this troll.
Nick Fuentes has said a long list of very vile things.
Big time. He's a booger-eating, white supremacist Holocaust denier.
The reason everybody's talking about Fuentes is Tucker Carlson, who is arguably at this point the most significant media figure on the American right, hosted Fuentes, a person he has feuded with in the past, for a very friendly 2-hour chat.
I wanted to meet you. I've heard about you.
I've heard about you.
About the problem of Israel, about the problem of American Jews and whether or not they fit in this country or their loyalties are elsewhere.
If you're China first, you should live in China. If you're Mexico first, you should live in Mexico. If you're Israel first, maybe you should go live in Israel.
It was the kind of conversation you would not have heard among mainstream figures on the American right.
See, that something you need to understand there is that Nick Fuentes is a very dangerous propagandist and a very good propagandist for that reason. Because while he hates Jews, he's anti-Semitic, what he is saying there, one, makes total sense to the average person, and two, what he's saying there is not even anti-Semitic, okay? And he's also utilizing right-wing sentiment to make this point. Tucker Carlson does an even better job than Nick Fuentes on this issue because Tucker Carlson does not actually say the quiet part out loud ever. Like he has way more messaging discipline than Nick Fuentes, and that's partially because he has way more media training than Nick Fuentes, right? He is a professional media demon. That's his background. He's been doing this for almost as long as Nick Fuentes has been alive at this point. So of course he's going to be better at that. That's why I think he's like very dangerous in general, very scary in general. But like that's why, for example, people were like, "Oh, how dare you?" Like people tried to say that I was being anti-Semitic to Ben Shapiro for saying, for clipping my, I don't have any patriotism in my heart for any country really. When he clipped it and was like complaining about it, I said, I don't have any patriotism for any country. I don't really understand patriotism. You, on the other hand, are first and foremost patriotic to Israel. And what was, interesting about that is like people were like, oh, you're doing dual loyalty tropes. It's like, no, dumbass. When you say that's a dual loyalty trope, you sound ridiculous. And the reason why you sound ridiculous is because there's a difference between assuming any Jew is going to be loyal to Israel versus Ben Shapiro, who objectively communicates that he is fucking invested in Israel first and foremost above pretty much anything else. Okay? That's it. Point to a single fucking moment where Ben Shapiro has ever deviated from the pro-Israel position. Oftentimes, even when it's against not just the American government's interests, but when it's against the interests of the American citizenry, okay? Everything that I advocate for, people try to say, is actually negative to the Americans. But that is not the case, okay? If I hated America, I'm a relatively wealthy person. I can live pretty much anywhere I wanted to live. If I hated America that much, I'd just fuck off and leave, okay? I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Fuck this shit. The reason why I stay in America and the reason why I live in America and the reason why I'm constantly complaining about America is because I want America to be better for Americans, okay? For everyone that lives inside of the boundaries of the U.S. state. That's it. And these guys will forever hate me for it. When I say, God damn it, America is like so violent as a country, okay? When I say that, when I say like, oh God, it's like, it's impossible to fucking love America right now, I'm talking about America not meeting its promise, okay? Yeah, and I said, I'm not a patriotic person in general. You are patriotic for Israel first and foremost, which is true. And the same thing happened with, fucking Miriam Adelson. People were like, Miriam Adelson is an Israeli citizen and patriotic to Israel, okay? Miriam Adelson cares more about what happens in Israel or America's continued allegiance to Israel than she does about Americans in general. Now, of course, Miriam Adelson doesn't care about Americans in general because she is a fucking, oh, this button is off. Thank you for calling it out, Chatter. The reason why she doesn't care about Americans in general is because she's a fucking billionaire, first and foremost. If you're a billionaire, you don't care about the working class in general. That's your class position. That's all that's all you ever openly state. But then outside of that, the reason why it's not dual loyalty when you fucking point to Mary Madelson being exceptionally pro-Israel is because she is exceptionally pro-Israel. Like, what are we doing? We can't just say the fucking truth. There is a difference between the racialized sentiment that leans into complete reactionary tropes that are made up about black people, about brown people, and then constantly going along with that kind of narrative. And then when people say like, oh, dude, what the fuck are you saying? That's racist. You go, oh, what? I can't say the truth. Versus unironically talking about a person who openly is saying that they're pro-Israel. And if you can't actually communicate these things that most people can see with their eyes and hear with their fucking ears and analyze with their brains, even the dumbest person on the planet can see that, like, you are not going to be able to successfully, you are not going to be able to have build a successful political movement in general. Anyway, here was the point that I wanted to show you with Zohran Mamdani and Ezra Klein. I'm glad that he is like coming on to this, coming to this side.
Why should we be talking about what this, Rumble influencer thinks about the Jews when the left is electing Zohran Mamdani, right? When there's been these years of debate about anti-Semitism on the left. I'll say this super clearly. I've met Zohran Mamdani, voted for Zohran Mamdani. I don't think there's anything anti-Semitic about him at all. But I think you see in the way he has been treated, and then also what is happening on the right, a distinction that is worth understanding, a structural distinction. That anti-Zionism on the left often pushes towards what I would call liberalism, a belief that all people should have equal rights, that there should be universalism. There's a different version of it if you're more sort of socialist and Marxist.
Right.
But the left tends to push towards a universalism. And
yes,
a lot of the anger at Israel.
Yes, even though Ezra Klein and I see the world in dramatically different ways, this is why I always say he's smart enough to, one, read the room, and two, he's smart enough to make this honest assessment, this honest analysis. Many liberals refuse to do this, okay, which is part of the reason why I actually appreciate Ezra Klein at times, even though I disagree with him vehemently in other instances, okay? That's it. That's true. It's true. If liberalism is about equality, which is supposed to be like the foundational tenets of liberalism, then yes, leftists and liberals are aligned on those principles, or they are at least supposed to be aligned on those principles. Liberals, of course, do not see the equality destroying aspects of capitalism, and they safeguard it, and they basically blind themselves to the ways that this economic organization of the economy prioritizes profit over the interests of people, right? But ultimately, in theory, that's what liberals care about. That's what liberalism is supposed to represent.
I think much of it merited is the way it betrays universalism for the Palestinians living under its control.
Sure.
On the right, it's pushing towards ethno-state politics.
Right.
That the fundamental argument and a way in which modern Israel's tried to create new coalitions is to say, hey, we're all ethno-states here.
Right.
But once you buy into the ethno-state frame, then the fact that you see Jews as an ethnic other in your society pushes somewhere very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pushes towards ideas of expulsion, pushes towards ideas that they're a fifth column within, that they are leading your country to betray its actual interests in order to, that they have dual loyalties.
Right.
But there is this weird thing where there's been a rise of like Jewish figures or Jewish line figures who want to embrace ethno-state politics.
Sure.
I mean, you have like Yoram Hazony, Jewish, lives in Jerusalem, the founder of NatCon, going to the NatCon conference, which he started, saying, look, you have to like the Jews to be a national conservative.
Thank you. Oh my God. I mean, this is like the most extreme version of it, the most out there version of it, the most honest version of it, right? And it's one that Israel openly rides for, which is why like people like Ezra have to be like, this is, as a liberal, as a card-carrying liberal, this doesn't abide by the universalist principles I believe in. But it extends beyond these guys. It extends beyond these figures. It's not simply coalition building for Benjamin Netanyahu. There is not a lot of daylight between Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir. Maybe there are domestic differences, right, within this coalition, like domestic policy differences when it comes to like social issues and whatnot. But ultimately, when it comes to the ethno-religious superiority and the ethnic cleansing, Israeli society is not so divided, right? Zionists are not divided on these things because they have a firm commitment to advancing the Greater Israel Project. They have a firm commitment to basically destroying all Palestinians because they see that as a hurdle against advancing the Greater Israel Project. It's not that like there isn't a lot of distinction between even liberal Zionists and the ultra Zionists out there, right? And a lot of people refuse to recognize that. Ezra Klein would disagree with me. He himself is a liberal Zionist, so he will most likely disagree with me. I would be very interested in having this discussion with him because I think he is an honest actor in general, or at least like presents himself as such when he's having these sorts of interesting conversations. That's why I always say, like, I think it'd be a unique conversation. He's done it with Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? Twice now. And basically, the reason why I say that is because, like, well, he's still saying, like, oh, there's like really right-wing attitudes in Israel, and it's a part of the coalition that they've created. It's just like one of the dangers of one of the unfortunate consequences of like trying to operate within this democratic system, right? Is that you're going to have these sorts of far-right figures in your coalition at times in order to maintain power. But the reality of the matter is the liberal coalition on the opposing side of Benjamin Netanyahu also agrees with Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to Gaza. The liberal coalition also agrees with Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to attacking international organs of justice. Attacking international organs of justice when they actually call out Israel for potentially doing war crimes. So there is not a lot of difference in opinion when it comes to the issues that matter. Just as there's not a lot of difference in opinion when it comes to the issues that matter within the Republican Party and the Democratic Party when it comes to healthcare being a privatized endeavor. It has to be for profit. It is uniparty. Do you understand?
But there's nobody ever said, and I this is for my Jewish friends, nobody ever said that to be a good Nat Con, you had to love Israel. Nobody ever said that to be a good Nat Con, you had to love Jews.
And so the one point of anger I have that a lot of people on the right who I think have been playing footsie with this for a long time is that once you embrace the ethno-state concept, this is where that leads.
Yes.
Well,
yes. I'm glad he's like saying this. Okay. I'm glad he's saying this on New York Times. I cannot imagine. I cannot see a world where one of the most prestigious, not from our perspective, just in general, right? One of the most prestigious commentary people at the most prestigious newspaper in the United States of America would openly, as a Jewish American too, say, of course, if you lean into Israel as an ethno-state project, then that opens up the floodgates of ethno-nationalism of different sorts, including the incredibly scary version of it that we have seen, right? This is something that I have said for fucking years, right? I say I hate Nick Fuentes for the same reasons why I hate Itamar Ben-Gvir, because they are the same. I hate fascism, all the same. It doesn't matter if it's the Aryan fascism of the Nazis or the Jewish fascism of Israel. It's fascism nonetheless. And if you are an anti-fascist, if you're a principled anti-fascist, if you abhor racism, if you abhor ethno-nationalist politics, then of course you are going to have the same level of smoke for both of these things. And it is the Zionist wing of American politics that has played a formative role in the anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish wing of American politics growing. Are you paying them $20K to use your lines now? Yes, exactly. I paid Ezra Klein, so he says these things. Also, here's a John Fetterman jump scare. John Fetterman's back home. 26 years later in a full recovery. I'm back home with Giselle Fetterman and the kids. I'm overwhelmed, plus profoundly grateful for all the well wishes. Truly grateful for UPMC for the incredible medical care that put me back together. Thank you so much. I don't know what the fuck happened to this dude. But what if he snapped back? What if he snapped back? Just think for a moment. What if he's woke now? He got out of the hospital and he's woke now. Just saying. What if he got worse? I don't know how he could get worse. But all right, let's get to the real news story of the day.
Now to
something that you guys have been waiting for. Donald Trump, also known as Mr. Suck. We previously knew him as the PP, pedophile president. Okay. But I think he might also be Mr. Suck. Okay. POTUS, more like throatus. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking about the Epstein revelations right now. It brings me incredible pleasure to talk about it, of course, partially because this is something that I have been screaming about for almost a fucking decade. And now more and more people are tuning in to this issue. More and more people are recognizing the reality. More and more people are asking the question, why are there so many both liberal and Republican, both Democrat and Republican Party boosters that were so embedded with Jeffrey Epstein, so directly connected to Jeffrey Epstein? Why is Donald Trump so directly connected with Jeffrey Epstein? Now, of course, a lot of this is off of pure speculation. Jeffrey Epstein asked his brother, Mark Epstein, whether Putin has photos of Trump blowing Bubba, which is Bill Clinton's nickname. And this obviously took a whole different life of its own. People lost their dang minds over it. They're like, oh my God, Donald Trump might have given the big suck to Big Bill. Totally redefining the term Big Beautiful Bill. If you assume that Bill Clinton was packing heat, because Bill Clinton's nickname is Bubba. Now, do I believe that Donald Trump actually throated Bill Clinton? No, I don't. Will I entertain it just for fun? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? I'm sorry. We can have some fun. America is out of control. It's bouldering in the direction of fascism. Material conditions are deteriorating at an alarming rate. So we're going to have a little bit of fun in the meantime. You know what I mean? We're going to speculate on whether or not the current president actually sucked off the former president, Bill Clinton. Trump giving the microphone a blowjob, dude has to be gay, right? That's so funny. And of course, this ties back to one of my favorite conspiracies, which is not a conspiracy, but reality. Donald Trump is bisexual aromantic. Donald Trump simply has sex as a power status. That's precisely the reason why he is many different sexual assault and rape allegations, including from his wife, his former wife, who passed away. Okay. But of course, many others are finally coming to that conclusion as well. So I will take it. Oh, asexual biromantic. Sorry, I said bisexual aromantic. Sorry. I meant asexual biromantic. You're right. Ace visibility, bi visibility, perhaps in the worst possible way that we could do either of those things on this broadcast, but it needed to be done nonetheless. Donald Trump famous for talking about Arnold Palmer having a huge cock. Donald Trump famously a major fan of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Broadway musicals in general. Donald Trump, who has talked about how handsome all the people are around him with regular frequency. Donald Trump talking about kissing men in the crowd. Donald Trump offering this microphone a blowjob. Turns out it's not the only thing he might have offered a blowjob to. Let's take a look at this. I mean, come on, guys. Motherfucker loves YMCA, dude. The double dick suck dance move originated with YMCA playing in the background. How are we going to sit here and act like the signs weren't there? How are we going to sit here and act as though the signs weren't hitting you in the face like Bill Clinton tapping it on Trump's tongue? That's muscle memory, baby. So yeah, this comes from the original. You mean Donnie T? A while back, you mentioned that you were pre-diabetic. This is a conversation that took place. Wait, what? This is a conversation that took place in the emails between Mark Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein. They're the brother of Jeffrey Epstein, Mark Epstein. How are you doing? A while back, you mentioned you were pre-diabetic. Has anything changed with that? What is your boy Donald up to now? All good, Bannon with me. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. And I thought I had Cirrus. You and your boy Donnie can make a remake of the movie Get Hard, sent via tin can and string. You mean Donnie T. I'd rather be in Donnie D's shoes. I don't know what these references are. But basically, the big part of this, you know, the major incident here is when he said, ask him if Putin has photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Okay? Surus is Yiddish for issues. Okay. Wait, this is 2018. Why is it over email and not text? Because they're fucking boomers, man. Or maybe because they wanted us to see it later down the line. I don't know. But they were very forthcoming. From POTUS to Throatus. It says photos implying its existence. Now, do I think that Donald Trump actually sucked off Bill Clinton? No, I don't. It is most likely two brothers talking shit. Especially because Mark Epstein, from what if I recall correctly, was very anti-Trump. And Jeffrey Epstein also had like a liberal, I mean, he's a fucking billionaire sex trafficker, pedophile, so he transcends above the partisan lines, but had a liberal tinge to his personal politics, I guess. You will regret that take. What take?
Epstein files, President Trump ordering the Department of Justice to investigate the convicted sex offenders' possible ties to Democrats, and in particular.
Careful, if we find out that's really true, they'll brand this as the next Ukraine. Brother, if it turns out that Donald Trump actually sucked off Bill Clinton, are you fucking kidding me? I don't think anybody will turn around and be like, wow, Hassan, you were wrong on this. Hold this L. It is an L that I will gladly hold, for the record. Okay? It will be my greatest L of all time. I will not care about holding that L because I will be losing my fucking mind. First of all, America will collapse if that's real. You understand that, right? Because I've been thinking about this quite a bit. Republicans, many of them, can see themselves in Trump's shoes. This is very important to understand. They can see themselves being like, oh, who amongst us hasn't wanted to, fuck one of our daughter's friends, who cares if they're young? They can see themselves being a pedophile. Some of them have actual pedophilic tendencies. Some of them have actually done pedophilia, right? In the base of MAGA support. But none of them can defend sucking off Bill Clinton, okay? It is the only thing that could destroy Donald Trump. Donald Trump doing pedophilia would not destroy the loyalty that he has developed within the MAGA base as much as Donald Trump sucking off Bill Clinton. Donald Trump sucking off any random guy would still be worse than Donald Trump being a pedophile in the eyes of the MAGA base. However, that guy being Bill Clinton is the absolute fucking worst thing. Okay? I've been thinking about this quite a bit. It's like, what if the real reason why Donald Trump did not want the Epstein files to be released is not because he actually was doing pedophilia, but because he knows that Jeffrey Epstein knows the secret that him and Bill Clinton actually had gay sex. Because there is no defense of that. Because I hadn't even thought about this because I had not considered Donald Trump potentially sucking off Bill's penis. My mistake. I guess I'm not pre-watch Piker on that. I guess the only thing worse than Donald Trump being caught sucking off Bill Clinton would be if he sucked off Obama. That's it. Here's an old tweet. If Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America? At real Donald Trump. Hashtag 2016 president. The sad state of affairs in this country is, and this brings me no pleasure to say it. This brings me no pleasure to report. But the sad state of politics in America dictates that pedophilia is not a career ender in the way that having gay sex would be for Donald Trump. Oh, John Marco said the same thing. It's sad to say, but for Republicans, I think the gay allegation is more damaging than the pedophilia one. And it's not just any gay allegation. It's the absolute worst, pretty much. For his base, you mean? Yes, for his base. For his base. And the reason for why it's worse for his base is because they can see themselves being a pedophile, but they can't see themselves sucking Bill Clinton's dick. Is this difficult to comprehend? I don't know. Maybe you guys are like, I don't understand. There's nothing wrong with being gay. I agree. I'm not talking about it from my perspective because let's be real. Cancellation is not real. Okay. Cancel culture is not, I mean, it's weaponized all the time. And dare I say, more successfully utilized against the left than it is the right. And the reason for why it's more successfully utilized against the left than the right is because you can only be, quote unquote, canceled by your fans. You can only be canceled by your own audience, by your own base of support. And Donald Trump's base of support openly has shown that they do not give a fuck about pedophilia. They don't care. Some will, but not all. I mean, Megyn Kelly basically revealed that. I think it's the dick that he sucked matters more than the dick in and of itself. No, the dick in and of itself matters the most, but the dick that he sucked, if it's Bill Clinton's, makes it completely irredeemable in the eyes of the MAGA base. But yes, I think Republicans unironically think being gay is worse than being a pedophile. I'll kiss every guy, every man and woman. Anyway, in the heat of all of this panic and the memes and everything else that's going on, Donald Trump, of course, came out and is trying to get ahead of the situation. So he has decided, he demanded that the DOJ investigate Epstein's ties to the Democrats. Now, I love this for two reasons. One, because there are ties with Democrats and Jeffrey Epstein, and I think those ties should be exposed. But I do think that this also pushes the Democrats in general to also fight back and go extra hard on the ties that Jeffrey Epstein has to prominent Republicans, including Donald Trump. This is a moment for us on the left to kick our feet back and enjoy the show from the outside.
Former President Bill Clinton, this just days after the release of Epstein emails that mention President Trump.
SB96, thank you for the 10
White House
gifted.
correspondent Selena Wang is here now with the latest. Good morning, Selena. This has been a big talker.
Hey, Janae, it sure has. And the president here is trying to change the subject, calling for these investigations into Democrats to shift focus away from questions about his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein. But even though the White House insists the president has done nothing wrong, they're still refusing to release the full Epstein files. Overnight, President Trump defending his extraordinary order to his attorney general and the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement.
Oh, Chomsky was on the Lolita Express? Oh, dude. Oh, my God. I don't even want to get into that. Holy shit, dude. Noam Chomsky's connections to Jeffrey Epstein are so vast. It's so much worse than I previously thought it was. It is fucking crazy, okay? It is absolutely crazy.
And relationship with several prominent Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and, quote, many other people and institutions.
I am considered the chief law enforcement agent in the country, and I'm allowed to do it.
Attorney General Pam Bondi publicly responding on Friday, will do, saying the department will pursue this with urgency and integrity. This comes even though Bondi herself had closed the Epstein case earlier this year, declaring, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third."
So why are you singing a different tune now?
Parties. Top Democrats calling Trump panicked and desperate.
Will Donald Trump be investigated as part of this, or is there going to be one set of rules for Donald?
His ass was not manufacturing consent? No, he was, just for something different. His ass was manufacturing consent, manufacturing an alternative vision of age of consent. Okay?
Trump's friends and supporters, and another set for his critics.
Former President Clinton did travel on Epstein's plane multiple times after his presidency, but Clinton says he was unaware of Epstein's crimes and never visited Epstein's private island. He has not been accused of wrongdoing. A spokesperson for the Clinton Foundation says these emails prove Bill Clinton did nothing and knew nothing. The rest is noise meant to distract from election losses, backfiring shutdowns, and who knows what else. Even some Republicans pushing back.
Okay, dude. All right, dude. Bill Clinton knew nothing and did nothing. Bill Clinton is literally more visibly connected to Jeffrey Epstein than Donald Trump was until this very moment. Okay? It turns out Donald Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein were far more significant than we previously thought. And I will say, as a ball knower, as someone who's paid close attention to this stuff, I used to always say, like, well, you know, there's a point where Donald Trump is no longer there's a point where Donald Trump no longer publicly associates with Jeffrey Epstein, and it far predates Bill Clinton, right? The Clinton family kept their connection to Jeffrey Epstein fairly visible. Ghislaine Maxwell was front and center at Chelsea Clinton's wedding, for example. Donald Trump, it turns out, was also still very connected to Jeffrey Epstein. More connected than we previously thought. I previously said, due to the MAD principle, mutually assured destruction principle, mutually assured pedophilia destruction principle specifically, because of how many powerful people were associated with Jeffrey Epstein, that no one would actually ever dare to blow the lid on this thing. But now that there's so much public pressure and Trump feels the need to be responsive to said public pressure due to the fact that his popularity is waning, it kind of feels like this house of cards is falling apart.
On Trump's demand.
I would ask him not to do that because all it does is taint our legal system.
This all comes 2 days after the House Oversight Committee released thousands of documents from Epstein's estate. Many of them mention Trump. In a 2017 email to former Secretary Larry Summers, Epstein writes, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump, not one decent cell in his body, so yes, dangerous." In a 2018 text to an unidentified person, Epstein writes, "I am the one able to take him down." Trump, who denies any wrongdoing, says he cut ties with Epstein because Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, were luring away women and teenage girls who worked at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I always knew it was a pedophile. Doesn't hit as hard when Jeffrey Epstein's fucking talking about, I always knew it was a pedophile. Doesn't hit as hard when Jeffrey Epstein is fucking talking about meeting Donald Trump in like 2019, right before he was arrested alongside Prince Andrew.
Week, dozens of House Republicans are expected to break with the president and vote to demand the release of the FBI's full Epstein files, something that Trump, his vice president, and FBI Director Kash Patel had vowed to do during the campaign.
What the hell are the...
Never thought this before, but Trump may have murked Epstein. I mean, I always assumed it was the deep state burning an asset. I didn't realize that it was Donald Trump directing said deep state burning, the deep state burning of the asset.
House Republicans doing? They have the majority. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are.
But now that Patel is running the FBI, he's refusing to release the files as the pressure intensifies. 20 of Epstein's victims are urging lawmakers in a letter to make the files public, writing in part, "Imagine if you yourself were a survivor. What would you want for them? What would you want for yourself? When you vote, we will remember your decision at the ballot box."
But even if that vote passes the House next week, it is unclear what would happen in the Senate, and it's very unlikely President Trump would sign on. But this does put Republican lawmakers in a difficult position. Some of Trump's own top officials had stoked conspiracies about Epstein for years, and now many Republican voters are calling for those files to be released.
Yes, so many questions, Selena. Thank you for your reporting.
President Trump says he is withdrawing his endorsement for one of his most steadfast backers in Congress. In a Truth Social post late last night, the president said he no longer supports Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling her a...
Yup, and the fallout continues. That's right. From lovers to haters arc, Marjorie Taylor Greene. One of the more outspoken Republicans on the release of the Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Greene has also been very outspoken on Israel as well. It seems that she had greater ambitions of becoming a senator, and Donald Trump said no. And that caused her to have a come to Jesus moment, if you will, that basically caused her to go, okay, well, fuck you then. You hate to see two queens fight? I know. Two zesty sex addicts. Here's her boyfriend, a prolific Trump glazer, is taking the news. Standing by Marjorie Taylor Greene so far. Yeah, Brian Glenn, who famously asked Zelensky, why aren't you wearing a fucking suit? Brian Glenn, who is the chief White House correspondent for Real America's Voice, as I told you, is Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. I've talked about this quite a bit. And in the aftermath of this fissure, this deep fissure that exists, this deep fissure that is only worsening, Donald Trump lost a loyal media guy. A loyal media guy who says, I stand by my queen, my beautiful queen. I love this woman. I love this country. God bless America, at Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend is posting this after Trump disowned her when his own career is based on proximity to Trump is very romantic. We all know Donald Trump has a tendency to punish dissenters who exhibit any sort of disloyalty. So I don't know how he will react to this. If we don't see Brian Glenn at the next White House presser, you know that he has fallen on his own sword for love, okay? Banned from the White House as the chief White House correspondent for Real America Voice.
Ranting lunatic. This comes after Green appeared on CBS Mornings Friday to discuss her support for a vote to release all of the files in the investigation of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Yep.
The president has denied any knowledge of sexual abuse by Epstein, but this is the latest move to deflect attention away from himself. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane has more.
President Trump has been unable to shake the questions about his relationship with the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, and is now trying to change the focus to others who were allegedly in Epstein's orbit.
This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a couple of few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective.
The president called for an investigation into 3 high-profile Democrats who he said had relationships with Epstein: former President Bill Clinton, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, and venture capitalist Reid Hoffman. All 3 men's names appear in newly released Epstein emails. Trump posted that these men spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Soon after, Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the president on social media saying an official probe had begun. But there is still growing pushback.
This move is being seen as Trump putting Israel first by the online hogs. Yep. Because it's true. There is truth to this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is openly anti-Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene's openly anti-Israel tendencies is a problem for the base. Donald Trump is at an impasse here. Does he continue to try to hold the base together? Or does he start attacking people who are tangentially critical of him for the Epstein stuff or for Israel, which is also another version of the Epstein stuff anyway? Or it's another version of the Israel stuff, rather. Sorry. For us, this is a wonderful opportunity. Let's be real. Republicans have leaned into this stuff for many, many years, conspiracies, specifically anti-Semitic ones. And now those chickens are coming home to roost. Clearly, if your coalition building revolves around entertaining these sorts of opinions, why is this button undone again? This button just keeps getting undone on its own. What the fuck? Crazy. If your coalition building revolves around entertaining anti-Semitic conspiracies and fascists, then eventually those fascists are going to turn on you because you yourself have to be pro-Israel unconditionally. Your fat man tits keep doing it. That's true. It's true. My titties are bussing today. My yitties. And some of these guys are now hitting it. Don't go against Israel or Trump will call you a traitor. Marjorie Traitor Greene is a disgrace to our great Republican Party, says Donald Trump. Interesting. Marjorie Taylor Greene responds with this. President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge. The Epstein files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. What is this? I already told my husband on January 20th, 2017, he will sleep with the next president of the United States. Okay, that's not a real tweet, but that's really funny. Okay. And the only reason why it's not a real tweet is because Hillary Clinton does not have sex with Bill Clinton, famously. Okay? As far as we know, there's a higher likelihood that Donald Trump actually sucked off Bill Clinton than Hillary Clinton had sex with Bill post Monica Lewinsky, possibly even pre-Monica Lewinsky. What's crazy is Donald Trump doesn't drink or do drugs. He's doing a sax solo on Clinton off a Diet Coke and a lime. Oh my God. That is true. I didn't even think about that. I did not even think about that. Kyle Kalinske hits the did not blow. Donald Trump, the devil's triangle here, okay? Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, blew. Monica Lewinsky blew. Bill Clinton. Hillary Clinton blew. Bill Clinton did not blow, did not blow, did not blow. Okay? Except, John Marco says, there's no evidence Hillary blew him. Wait, Monica Lewinsky was the fall guy? It was Donald? Oh my God, how deep does this fucking conspiracy go? Dude, what the fuck? Hold on, chatter. You're not wrong. What if it was actually Donald Trump that blew Bill Clinton in the White House? And then they made Monica Lewinsky into the fall guy this entire time. I like it. I believe it. That's headcanon. That's canon. That's canon. Lock it in. But yeah. Anyway, getting back to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example. It's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out that he actually goes to this level. But really, most Americans wish he would fight this hard to help the forgotten men and women of America who are fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes, are going broke trying to feed their families, and are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him, even when almost all other Republicans turned their back and denounced him. Throatback Mountain? Okay. But I don't know. I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God. Jesus is my savior, and I serve my district GA14 and the American people. I remain the same today as I've always been, and I will continue to pray this administration will be successful because the American people desperately deserve what they voted for. For me, I remain America first and America only. Today, this is what she sent to DJT. In every single interview I've done, I've defended President Trump. I've said over and over, the women say he did nothing wrong, and their attorney says he's the only one who helped. And the Democrats had 4 years to release the files, but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and say so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is not a hoax. Yeah, this does give a whole new meaning to Big Beautiful Bill. She also tweeted out, I forgive him. I like that she said, I don't serve Donald Trump, but then still turned around and 11 hours ago said, good morning. I want to thank everyone who texted and posted. Toxic political industrial complex thrives on ripping us all apart and never delivers anything good for the American people whom I love. The PIC tells us to hate each other, fundraises off of why we have to hate each other, and pits Americans against each other. This is all so wrong. Where does she say? Where does game recognizes game? Did you see this tweet? Oh, this and the Epstein files is why I'm being attacked by President Trump. It really makes you wonder what is in those files and who and what country is putting so much pressure on him. I forgive him and I will pray for him to return to his original MAGA promises. Oh, incredible things are happening on Truth Social. Oh my God. These guys are one fucking speed, dude. They have one speed. This is the same as like looking at Mark Milley and being like, oh, he's a woke Maoist Milley. It's fucking crazy. Marjorie Taylor Queen. Ay, ay, ay. Unironically, more hogs look like that than liberals. Exactly. The blue hair septum piercing doesn't work no more. It doesn't work any longer. There are so many fucking crusty ass conservatives out there that look like that. Oh, she also is getting contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world. The man I supported and helped get elected. Aggressive rhetoric attacking me has historically led to death threats and multiple convictions of men who were radicalized by the same type of rhetoric being directed at me right now, this time by the President of the United States. As a woman, I take threats from men seriously. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, she's gone woke. I mean, yeah, the Republicans have a quick way of just immediately being like, well, you yourself are obviously anti-Trump. You're against our big, beautiful president. And that means you are woke. Let's see what Alan Dershowitz was saying, by the way, on News Nation. Also, what the fuck is this mustache?
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile. Well, let me.
Oh, brother. I mean, this is pure Dersh, right? I mean, this is how he is. This is the classic Dersh. Alan Dershowitz, Jeffrey Epstein's bestie, has famously written articles about how we must lower the age of consent. So it's not that shocking that he would hit this line of defense. Dershowitz, who helped Jeffrey Epstein get his sweetheart deal, knows full well that there were almost 3 dozen girls ages 13 to 17 who were named in a list that accompanied this plea deal. The final plea paperwork was manipulated to pick just one victim, and his lawyers made sure to choose the oldest so that it didn't look so bad. But the girl who came forward first of the police was 14, and the list of other victims attached to that deal included many young girls. My queen, Julie K. Brown, is popping off. Miami Herald journalist. She is obviously one of the biggest, what is this breaking? Massive crowds are now gathering outside the White House demanding the Trump resignation in the wake of the Epstein email access. Is this real? The political temperature in D.C. is exploding.
And then at the end, I want you to know one of the most beautiful things about this movement.
It looks like AI. Is it AI? I can't tell if this is AI or not. Are we cooked? Those are RevComs. Anyway, let's see what this, let's look at the, it was live on The Independent. Okay. Let's look at what Donald Trump was saying. Or not Donald Trump.
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen.
What?
There's no video of President Trump sucking a ding dong. And so what if there was? That's a lot better than World War III, Owen. I never sucked any ding dongs. But I'll tell you, if they were going to blackmail me to start World War III about one, I'd say, hey, I sucked a golf ball through a freaking garden hose.
Didn't you already tell Der Spiegel that?
No, the son of a bitch walked in there in my own office when I'd splattered stuff on myself and I was changing shirts. He goes, oh, that's a good shot. Let's get your shirts. And then he goes, I go, hey, have some of this chicken and sausage. So technically I said, Jones offered me his sausage. Yeah, give me a break, you son of a bitch. I like women, not men. And if I liked men, I'd be proud of it. I'd have a line of them. But I ain't ever been in bed with no man. I've been in bed with probably 300 women. And
this is why he's the GOAT, by the way. Like, this is why he is irreplaceable. This is why he is irreplaceable as a figure on the right. It's just like the fucking raw sexual charisma of Alex Jones. God damn, what a legend.
You sons of bitches sit there and you play these games, and I'm sick of it. So, there's no video of President Trump
sucking a ding dong. I mean, we know he's a chaser. Like, that's proven. He is straight up a chaser. So that's not fake. That's real. There's a real thing. It was right in front of us the whole time.
Inside the president's own party. Speaking to CBS Mornings, Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene said the president has made a mistake opposing the release of the full Epstein case files.
Just being very honest with you, it's something that I don't understand. I think it's a huge miscalculation. And I truly just stand with the women, and I think they deserve to be the ones that we're fighting for.
With Greene and a handful of other Republicans supporting it, the U.S. House is poised to vote next week on a plan requiring the Department of Justice to release those files.
They can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already.
A number of Epstein survivors sent a letter to Congress urging them to do so. The administration's handling of this investigation has been inconsistent all year. In February, the FBI said it would uncover any missing records. In July, the Department of Justice said they found no evidence of an Epstein client list or blackmail. And then on Friday, the Attorney General launched an investigation into Democrats, as recommended by the president. For CBS Saturday Morning, Scott McFarland, Washington.
One thing that happened, I asked President Trump in the Oval Office about those criticisms of his administration from Marjorie Taylor Greene. We are now in the middle of witnessing a major blow up between the two of them. One that a lot of people probably predicted would or did not expect would ever happen, with the president attacking her and her now calling the president, saying that he is lying about her and that she believes this is all over him trying to bully other Republicans into not voting in favor of that discharge petition on the Epstein files this week. I wonder what you make of what's playing out.
It's like they put truth serum in the MAGA water cooler, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump are both condemned to tell the truth about the other. Everything each says is right. They are narcissists. Marjorie Taylor Greene is right that Donald Trump has no domestic agenda except to harm ordinary people, and Donald Trump is right that Marjorie Taylor Greene is crazy. So it's useful information all around. But what I worry most about this and the Epstein files and all the things that Trump has tried to keep control of, escaping his control, is he has one big distraction in his hand, and I fear he may be about to deploy it, We are seeing in the Caribbean right now the largest buildup of U.S. naval forces in the region since the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's no plan. There's no authorization by Congress. There are no regional partners. It is not a war that should be fought in this way at this time. But one thing it would do is change the subject.
So you're worried that he could take action on a foreign policy move?
Okay. I'm going to do this one more time. Donald Trump, if you really want to change the discourse around this stuff, do socialized medicine. I promise it'll really piss off everybody. Okay? Nobody will talk about the Epstein stuff ever again, really. Everyone will talk about how, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. This is so unacceptable. How dare you do this? Socialized medicine, high-speed rail, socialized medicine, building a robust industrial base. Hold on. Ezra Klein actually made a good set of points about Mamdani woke us back. I know I covered it earlier. You missed it. Free college. You can call it fucking Trump care if you want. Andrew Filer. Thank you for the gifted subs. I'm just saying, if you really want a distraction, it's much better than bombing Venezuela. And it'll be an ongoing distraction too. Please distract us with that. Mr. President, please, I'm begging you. And it's a win-win because you get to destroy Obama's legacy. Think about how much you can own the libs and own Barack Obama. You get to destroy Obama's legacy and you get to build something that's even better than what Obama couldn't achieve. Only you can do it, Mr. President, please.
To distract from what's happening in Washington.
Yeah, I think that explains a lot of his foreign policy operations, but the forces are there. They've been pulled away from other theaters where they might be needed. They're building up to something. Again, they have no authorization. They have no allies. They have no goals. But boy, would it change the subject. And boy, does Donald Trump right now need a subject change.
Yeah, and we've seen what's been playing out. Obviously, the president was saying tonight he didn't know if he'd take that step. He wasn't sure. We know he's been briefed on options there. But on this, in and of itself, do you think that that is the reason he's criticizing Marjorie Taylor Greene, though, is because he doesn't want other Republicans coming out and what we've told could be a huge snowball effect next week when Speaker Mike Johnson actually puts this on the floor, that a lot of Republicans could end up bucking the White House and voting for this?
I think he genuinely can't help himself. I don't know that Donald Trump has fully formed strategic plans. He has a lot of impulses. He's also testing the old magic. After one of the things that has happened after the elections in New Jersey and Virginia and elsewhere, and Georgia maybe most significantly, because there was an all-state race that Republican candidates lost, is a lot of Republicans have to be thinking, what about my future? I used to think the greatest hazard to my future might be that Donald Trump would criticize me, but maybe actually now he can't help me and might even hurt me. And that's a little bit of discipline lost. And Marjorie Taylor Greene may be the test case where a lot of less inflammatory Republicans are saying, if she gets away with this, we can all get away with it.
Yeah, and she's obviously someone who has been a huge advocate of his and very loyal to the president, especially after January 6th when everything happened. And obviously, no one can forget Biden's...
She's not a good actor. I mean, she's not a hero of the Republic, but she is somebody who may be just crazy enough to actually believe the things that Donald Trump says without believing them.
So a lot has happened tonight. Buckle up. Marjorie Taylor Greene is learning what it feels like to be on Trump's bad side. She has been one of the most vocal Republicans calling for the full release of the Justice Department's investigative files on Jeffrey Epstein. And now President Trump tonight is unendorsing. He is withdrawing his endorsement of Marjorie Taylor Greene and writing on Truth Social that all I see wacky Marjorie do is complain. And then he added that I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. There was a lot there. So you can go and then talk about a lot. Then MTG fired back with screenshots of text messages that she claims where she claims that Trump is lying and that she did not call him, also saying that it is astonishing, really, how hard he is fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out. She argued that she has been one of Trump's strongest supporters, but that she doesn't, quote, worship or serve Donald Trump. On top of unendorsing, he actually said that he would support anyone who would be primarying her in the upcoming election. Who wants to take this one on?
Well, I can tell you that is not unusual in politics. Political romances are often short-lived, and she is...
You touched on this last stream. One of the big stories of 2016, 2027, and 2028 is that many Republicans do want to start quietly moving on from Trump, and how successful Trump's attempts at controlling primaries will be as a lame duck. Yeah. He is a galvanizing force, unfortunately, for the Republicans. Establishment Republicans haven't stopped hating Donald Trump. Okay? The only times where they forget about their hatred for Donald Trump is when Donald Trump delivers on deregulation and also tax cuts for the super wealthy. But they still see Donald Trump as an uncontrollable force. That's the reason why they tried to pull the Ron DeSantis exit ramp. But it was a spectacular failure. So we don't know how that will look.
Critical of him not only about the Epstein files, but about his involvement in foreign affairs, and I don't mean with women. I mean in various parts of the world.
You said it, not us.
Just to clear the table on that one. and so it's not surprising that they have had a breakup of sorts. After all, he didn't give her a ring. He just supported her for a little while.
Listen, this fire is spreading. I mean, right? It started off talking about Epstein in the beginning. Then during the shutdown, she was one of the few Republicans that correctly identified Donald Trump's unwillingness to deal with the ACA subsidies and lower healthcare costs for Americans as being one of the reasons why the shutdown occurred.
Yeah, she was very...
Liberals love a former Republican. I guess just as much as Republicans love a former Democrat. Not to say that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a former Republican. I think she's still very much invested in being a Republican. Maybe even more right-wing than Donald Trump is. But you will see liberals. I feel like it's already started, but like liberals are gushing over Marjorie Taylor Greene here. I mean, for me, it's strategic, right? I don't have an issue with hyping up what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing currently because I think it's beneficial. I think it's good when the Republicans are fighting. But I do fear that liberals might take it a step further.
Now she's talking about foreign policy. This is not going away. Whatever is going on between them seems to only be heating up, and I think the rest of us should get the popcorn.
And a war with words, sorry, Scott, a war with words with Donald Trump is such a risky business that I cannot believe she has the bravery to engage in it, because even if she was right, she's still going to lose.
Is there an example of anyone beating Donald Trump at this game?
Never. This is his game, and he's great at it. And she's barking up a tree that she's going to fall on her really hard.
You know, it's interesting. He has some people who profess to be strong supporters who do oppose him more often than the people that you might not think are his strongest supporters. She's one of them. Thomas Massie in Kentucky is another one. Rand Paul, my home state senator, he takes on Trump, although they profess to be Trump supporters. In this case, I think he had the order out of order. I trace all this back to his decision, the righteous decision to strike Iran. She was against it. So were some of the people who occupied.
Yeah, of course, Scott Jennings loves Donald Trump's righteous decision to strike Iran. He's a fucking pro-Israel stooge. I think it's an interesting phenomenon that we're experiencing because Marjorie Taylor Greene is not actually opposing Donald Trump from the left flank. Well, I guess kind of. But she is, she's saying she's true to the America First principles that Donald Trump initially ran on. You know, helping the American working class, isolationism as a foreign policy. These are the things that Donald Trump initially ran on. These are the things that a lot of people like Donald Trump for. So, and there's a lot of people who are anti-Israel. So she's leaning into that crowd. Of course, none of these people on the media side are anti-Israel, make no mistake, but that's what's going on here.
That wing of the party, he defied them. And since that time, they all seem to be stridently picking at him on this issue or that. And then, of course, everybody knows in Washington, Miles, you know, the fastest way to get in front of a television camera if you're a Republican is to come out and crap on Donald Trump. And so that is what she is doing. But, you know, Scott, that is what she is doing.
I trace it back further than that, Scott.
Over these issues, and that's what happened.
Scott, I trace it further back than that. I trace it back to 10 years ago when you said Donald Trump was an authoritarian. And you know what, Scott, I've got to hand it to you. That was a remarkable forecast. Because 10 years later, I think you called it. Here's Donald Trump today, the man with the heart and soul of a fascist, showing us he now has the bona fides. By tonight, ordering investigations into American citizens. That's why members of his party...
Why are you so upset he's running the executive branch?
For the same reasons you predicted he shouldn't. For the same reasons, Scott, you said he violated his oath and he should never be back in that office.
I happily voted
That's
for
why
him.
I'm upset for the man being in the Oval Office.
I happily voted for him 3 times.
I know that.
The alternative was terrible.
And a lot of your friends were shocked.
Yeah, well, a lot of my friends would have been shocked at you trying to subvert the elected president of the United States, which you did.
Well, I proudly did. I proudly
Some
said
mid-level
to the
staffer
country
substituting his
who
judgment
this
for the
man
elected
was.
president of the United States.
Well,
Good
Scott,
luck,
I would have
brother.
loved to have seen you stand
Good
up
luck.
to it.
Good luck.
Back to MTG. On
I don't even know what's going on. It's just like they're infighting because it's all right wingers on the fucking panel. It's like rhinos versus former rhinos, now pro-Trump, and they're just like fighting each other. I guess this is what happens when you're too successful. Right wingers are so successful at like doing political violence that they end up doing it to themselves, as we've seen many times over. And I guess the same thing goes for right wingers on this Trump stuff, where it's like we've already so thoroughly dominated the left flank, or not left flank necessarily, but like the Democrats, that it's time to fight amongst ourselves. It's awesome. Pascal Emmanuel Gabri says, Marjorie Taylor Greene is an example of the promise of and peril of populism. She's a good person, a mom who loves her country. She was a better congressperson than an empty suit would have been in her place. But she's also clearly not very bright, extremely gullible, and emotionally incontinent. And ultimately, doesn't have the skills to produce any real political wins or policy outcomes that can actually make a difference to the people she wants to represent. Sad. Yeah. As in, I liked it better when she was screaming about Rothschild space lasers instead of actual abuses by powerful people. Yeah. Both Marjorie Taylor Greene and Candace Owens has said actually anti-Semitic shit, and they have been defended by the Republicans until they became anti-Israel. Republicans, for the longest time, and this also is, you know, conservative Jews who are Republican as well, have also abided by this principle that it doesn't matter if you are an anti-Semite as long as you're pro-Israel, right? That was the method. Their anti-Semitism was not a deal breaker until they became anti-Israel. If you can't recognize that, I don't know what to tell you. Ben Shapiro quite literally has openly stated this when defending Ann Coulter, when she said anti-Semitic shit way back in the day. Not only that, but also Ben Shapiro hired Candace Owens, even though he knew very well that she was also anti-Semitic. Ben Shapiro fired Candace Owens when Candace Owens, the perfect room reader, decided to turn on Israel. She used to have many pro-Israel tweets back in the day, but when she became anti-Israel, that's when it was a bridge too far. You're such a little bitch sometimes, man. What do you mean? Well, thank you for saying sometimes, but not all the time. I'll take it.
Is it the sign of a changing tide? Is it the sign, or is it a singular one back and forth between one Republican who is getting into a fight with Donald Trump? Or do you think there is a possibility that it is the beginnings of Republicans seeing past the Donald Trump era?
The short answer is that we don't know.
Because you've got like Thomas Massey saying exactly that. Like your vote on this discharge petition is going to outlast Donald Trump's time here. So you need to consider that when you make your decision.
But if we keep paying attention, what we see is that last week, the president got his clock clean in an election. All the Republicans got their clock clean in an election. This week, we see what's happening with the Epstein files. So next week, we're going to see them take a vote. And if we see a bunch of Republicans defect on the Epstein files, I think what we're seeing is the real testing of the waters to find out whether or not you can oppose Donald Trump and still get elected. When we talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, the one thing we haven't talked about yet is her fundraising prowess. And according to sources, she is the most popular fundraiser in the Republican Party other than Donald Trump.
Yeah, they got their cock cleaned by Donald Trump, like Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton got his cock cleaned by Donald Trump.
This prediction about no one's going to care about this.
I was asking it a question. I wasn't predicting it.
No, you said people were somebody said that this was going to outlive.
Tom Massey.
And the prediction that this was going to outlive. I totally disagree with that. I think right now more people are worried about whether they can watch ESPN on YouTube TV tomorrow than they care about this, and that's certainly going to be true in 1 year, 5 years, or 10 years from today.
What they do care about, hold on, but what they do care about, they
did not get their clocks cleaned last
They do
week.
care about
They
the fact
did
the
not.
president is sort of breaking everything.
Right.
They see a hole in the White House right.
It's obvious what the Democrats need to do. They need to get together and, in the interest of bipartisanship, not reveal the Jeffrey Epstein files. Make a commitment that they're not going to reveal the Epstein files because, you know, things are going too good for the Dems again, okay? And not because of what they've been doing, but ironically because of what the Republicans have been doing. Democrats, do the right thing as always. Democrats, do the right thing. Stop with this. Stop with this partisan gamesmanship. Do the right thing for the country. Defend Donald Trump. Chuck Schumer's going to come out and be like, who amongst us hasn't sucked off Bill Clinton? Really? That was a moment of unique bipartisanship from the president, and we must go back to a strong Republican Party. Do not speak that into existence. Last time I made this sort of joke, it ended up becoming reality with the shutdown ending. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey, and Rand Paul are the only Republicans actually standing up to Trump, yet are never praised by the people who can't ever shut the fuck up about good Republicans. Confirms that bit was all just about building a political mandate for interventionist foreign policy. I don't know who this person is talking about, but I do think that there are Republicans who like that Thomas Massey is standing up to Trump.
No, I was in Detroit last weekend for an event, and it was the number one thing people came up to me at the scholarship dinner to ask about. Is it okay for the president to tear down the White House without anybody's permission?
That was the number one thing?
That was the number one thing that people brought up unprovoked.
Ridiculous. The idea of, I keep hearing this over and over again, is like, no one cares about this because they only care about that.
You know what they care about? They can't buy a house.
That they can't. They care about
houses
affordability.
unaffordable and that food costs too much. Yeah. But they don't care about the White House. The fact is, a president who can't model the White House.
Many people care about the White House.
That's ridiculous.
Many Americans care about the White House. You don't care about the White House.
Can't remodel a room in the White House.
He remodeled it. He tore it down. He tore it down.
Obama keeps name dropping Bill Clinton. He is no Bill Clinton. Okay, well, this confirms he didn't suck off Obama, for all we know. Obama is clear from the suck. I think one of the funniest parts about this back and forth has also been the Trump administration trying to do counter narrative propaganda on this issue, and they're just like posting Donald Trump with little children to be like, see, he can be around children without having sex with them, or even this post. I can't help falling in love with you. He's like, no, see, Donald Trump actually loves his adult female wife. Yeah, this really made us believe it, man. If anything, like I said, so he did suck him off. If anything, this looks too much like he's compensating for something. I don't know, man. Maybe what if he hates Obama because Obama wouldn't let him suck his dick? Oh, that could be another reason.
I couldn't tear down my garage without getting a permit from the city.
And without mansion and cinema, they would have done it the last.
Would you be open to endorsing someone's statements?
Well, it depends on who runs against her. I mean, I'm no longer much of a fan because I disagree with her policy. When she said that, going to foreign countries, bringing back trillions of dollars is not important. Do you think I want to go and be on an airplane for 20 hours? Some of you were with me. 22 hours to be exact, travel and then get off and make a speech and get people to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in our country. I'd rather do it without having to go, but if you didn't go, you wouldn't be able to have that kind of result. As an example, Malaysia, if you look at Thailand, I stopped a war in Thailand and Cambodia. If I didn't go to that region, I probably wouldn't have been able to stop that war. That war would have been very costly in terms of lives, but even costly in terms of us. Think about it.
On Epstein, sir, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman, was on CBS News. She was talking about how the files should be released. We anticipate that a vote will happen in the House. I know you wrote about the investigation today.
I don't care about it, released or not. What I think you should do, if you're going to do it, then you have to go into Epstein's friends. This Reid Hoffman spent a lot of time on the island. I was never on his island. Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. You're going to have to look into his friends because, if they're going to do that, and I think the perfect guy to do it would be Southern District, somebody like Jay Clayton. I understand that's who's been assigned.
But does the congresswoman have a point, though?
I know nothing about her.
On the release of the files. All the files.
Well, she can.
I know nothing about her. That's crazy. I know nothing about her. Who is that woman? She's dead to me. All of a sudden, fake friend, don't know her.
They can have whatever they want. They already do. I think they have 50,000 pages already. Look, this is a Democrat hoax. This is a hoax put out by the Democrat, and a few Republicans have gone along with it because they're weak and ineffective. But this is a Democrat Democrat hoax to get away from the fact that they just lost the shutdown and they've lost the elections. They've lost the big election, to me, in a record number. They lost the popular vote. They lost the swing states. They lost everything. I think it was 312 to 220 something. So this is a way of...
This is absolutely the worst time for Donald Trump. His popularity is waning. The affordability crisis is coming back to bite him in the ass. He's weak. He's ineffective. His base is actually frustrated with him. That's the reason why they're talking about like the traveling stuff. Because he knows that that's another reason why Republicans are mad. Because they're like, bro, why are you fucking constantly in like Asia and shit? Come back home and fix the goddamn prices of food. Fix the grocery prices. I can't believe it, dude. 11 months and here we are.
I'm not talking about that. It's a hoax. This is no different than Russia, Russia, Russia. And it's headed up by Democrats and some very weak Republicans. I don't know about those files. I know nothing about it. But I understand they released like 40 or 50,000 pages already. And nobody knows. I will say this. If they had anything, they would have used it before the election. Okay? I can't tell you what they put in since the election. But if they had anything, you don't think they would have used it before the election? They would have gladly used it before the election.
Mr. President.
How are you? Turn that down, please. Too much. Too much. Okay?
Mr. President, what did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who you know who that is, Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years, but he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead. Go ahead.
Incriminating in the Venezuela, sir. You've had a lot of meetings on Venezuela. I know you can't tell us what your next steps will be, but can you say, have you made up your mind on what? Mr. President, could you tell us why you needed to get an MRI? I understand that the results were good, but what was it for?
Because it's part of my physical. Getting an MRI is very standard. Well, you think I shouldn't have it? Other people get it.
Typically, an MRI
I had an
is some
MRI.
specific part of your body.
Here's what the story is. I had an MRI. The doctor said it was the best result he has ever seen as a doctor. That's it. But I had an MRI as part of my standard yearly, or I think they do it every 2 years, but I have the physical every year. And the result was outstanding.
Was it your brain?
Did you
or
know?
your heart? Or...
I have no idea what they analyzed, but whatever they analyzed it well.
You don't know what they analyzed? Brother, you did an MRI. That is probably one of the more ridiculous things he said. Like, yeah, you just got an MRI for the funsies? Like, they're just looking into your brain for the funsies. That's not like a normal procedure that one does for fun. And you didn't even ask? Like, even if the MRI was for normal, you know, like a normal physical, let's say that the MRI is a normal part of the physical. What do you mean you're not going to ask what the results are? It is, man? No, what do you mean? Even if I am to entertain the notion that for the president, the standards are different, you're not going to ask? Of course he asked. Why is he not telling us what the results look like? That's the real question.
And they said that I had as good a result as they've ever seen. Now, the other thing I took, as you know, a very advanced test on mental acuity, because I think a president should have to do that. And as you probably heard, I aced it.
I aced it. I aced my mental acuity test. I called it out. Woman, man, camera, TV. Rhinoceros, giraffe. I called it all. It was so perfect. I have 5 or 6 MRIs because of my bag, and believe me, you can feel the magnets bouncing off the area they're looking at. I mean, let's say, I guess he did like, my point was, if you get an MRI, you're going to want to know what the reasons for that MRI is and what the results of that MRI looks like. And if the results were clear, he would have probably said it out loud. That's my point.
Perfect score. I got the highest score. I got a perfect score. And the only reason I tell you that is it's one subject, unlike Biden and others, that you can take off your plane.
But want to be very specific. Are you saying you want to explode a warhead?
I don't want to tell you about that, but we will do nuclear testing like other countries do. We have more nuclear weapons than any other country, and we have to test.
Other countries are not exploding warheads.
In the last election, do you think you'll get on the road for the
What's up, Austin? You're live.
Hey, it's Austin Show from the Fear and Podcast.
What's up? Oh, from the Fear and Podcast. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Just want to know what time we're leaving.
I thought that we were gonna leave at 10, but it's so foggy that we're probably not gonna be able to see shit from the tower.
Yeah, no. I'm at breakfast and I'm literally in a cloud right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't even see the buildings.
I can see buildings from here,
I'm lying.
but not
I can
all.
see everything. I can see everything. I'm lying. But we won't have like a great. It's really foggy. You really can't see Pat. Like I'd say visibility is probably about 2 miles.
The hotel breakfast is Mexican themed.
What?
Yeah. The hotel breakfast is Mexican themed, Marsh said.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's kind of
Nice.
racist.
Yeah. So what time do you want us to be ready by?
I mean, what are we gonna do is what we need to figure out right now. Like, I'm down to
Okay.
do like a regular city roam in Chongqing.
Okay, yeah, I'm down with that.
yeah.
We're all down with that. We're all down with the city roam.
Yeah.
Or like trying street food or whatever and doing the thing. You just let us know what time you're feeling. And are you done? Are you still? How much long you got to cover the news for?
How much more does it to cover Epstein?
Yeah.
I
Hey,
mean,
and do you,
I'm down to roam. I'm down to roam. I'm down to walk around.
I'm gonna any word from Throtus on the
Throtus is duking it out with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Demanded the
Oh, is
DOJ
he?
investigate. Demanded the DOJ investigate the Democrats. There's also a U.S. Congressperson, Representative Carlos A. Jimenez, saying everyone is waiting for it already. It's already on its way. Like vague posting from the Armed Services, Homeland Security, and Select Committee on China. So.
Oh Jesus.
So
like it's coming out.
Oh, it's coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's coming out? You're such a pessimist.
I think
can't
that
do it. At
Jimenez
least-
is actually
at least
working with
give us some
Venezuela's
hope.
far right opposition. He's a close friend of the coup leader. He's talking about Venezuela.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Epstein files.
Well, it's somewhat related to the Epstein files because I think Donald Trump is like desperately trying to move the conversation away from the Epstein stuff. So
Okay.
he might just like bomb Caracas in an effort to shift the attention away.
Jesus Christ.
I have a really good
That's
solution to
insane.
that. It's called socialized medicine. If he did like Trump care, I
Yeah.
think everyone would stop talking about Epstein.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think you got a good idea going on. Okay. So what time are we meeting exactly?
I mean, 10 a.m. Let's do 10 a.m.
Everybody says here at this table that we should meet at 11 a.m.
Okay, that's fine. I'm down to do that too, since we're
All
not
right.
doing the
11
mall.
Yeah, 11 a.m. I'll order another cappuccino and wake up a little bit more.
Okay, make sure is it a double? Is it a double shot,
No,
double
no,
espresso
it's a
shot,
single.
or a single espresso
It's a
shot
single.
cappuccino?
I get two singles.
Oh,
So,
nice.
All right. Okay. Well, hey, have a good show. We'll see you in an hour and a half.
All right, bye.
I'll be on the road helping people. It's very important. The midterms are very important. And again, I think we should terminate the filibuster. Republicans should terminate the filibuster. The Democrats would do it immediately if they ever got power. And without Manchin and Sinema, they would have done it the last time.
Epstein appeared to text with lawmaker during the Cohen hearing. Sinema. I wonder if you can see if I move the camera. And I wonder how blown out it'll be if I do move the camera. But here, you want to see the outside chat? Hold on. It is super blown out. Last night they told us that it's called the Foggy City. There's a lot of fog, but this is Chongqing. It's the river city, it's the mountain city, it's the foggy city. And it's the city of hot springs as well. Is it fog or smog? No, it's fog. It used to be fog and smog, but now it's just fog, apparently. But yeah, it's very cozy. Thoughts on the protests in Mexico? Is this another right-wing psyop or something? Is she really in bed with the cartels? I'm not informed about the subject and would like to learn more. Yeah, no, it's I would assume it's like a right-wing. It's a right-wing attempt. That's what I would suspect is going on with Mexico. Will you be meeting any Shaolin? Yes, later today. on Will Neff's channel, we are going to be doing Wing Chun. That's in the afternoon, so it's going to be late in the night. The price for 5 4-star hotels in that city are insane. Like insane expensive or insane affordable? Because it's very expensive by China standards, but it's actually not that expensive by American standards if we're being real. Yeah, we're going to do Wing Chun. Wing Chun is not Shaolin. Oh, sorry. My dad teaches Wing Chun here in the US. My dad teaches Wing Chun here in the UK. Are you going to meet Chinese Trump? Yes, I want to. Fuck. Hold on. I meant any form of martial art. Yeah. Anyway, newly released. The post reviewed multiple video feeds from hearing and matched text, which were sent in Pacific time with the video.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh.
The
You got to
Trump
quickly give us
organization.
as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is the Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
So here they are. 20,000 documents from Jeffrey Epstein's estate have been released for all to see, and we've been through them. They feature Donald Trump, the former Prince Andrew, Peter Mandelson, and of course, Epstein's girlfriend and co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, along with many other people. Here's a deep dive into Epstein's world. Let's begin with Donald Trump. The emails relating to him span about a decade, up until just before Epstein's death in jail in 2019. It's important to stress that there are no emails from or to Donald Trump. They're all from Epstein to others. They give a remarkable new insight. Epstein claiming a closeness with Trump, who, remember, is on record as saying he disassociated himself with Epstein years earlier in the early 2000s. Let's begin in 2011, 5 years before Trump was elected president for the first time. I want to show you this one from Jeffrey Epstein to his girlfriend and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in April 2011. It was written not long after he'd been released from house arrest for having solicited prostitution from a minor, and he was trying to rebuild his reputation. Epstein says to Maxwell, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc. I'm 75% there." Now, Virginia is Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's victims and the woman in that now infamous photo with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We'll come to him later because there are new emails between Andrew and Epstein. Now, Giuffre, who took her own life earlier this year, never accused Trump of any wrongdoing, but Epstein is alleging that Trump and she spent hours together at Epstein's house. The White House has hit back. Listen briefly to Trump's press secretary on this.
Ms. Guthrie maintained, and God rest her soul, that she
No longer Prince.
maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
Now, as the years pass, the tone of the emails evolves. We get a glimpse into how the nature of the relationship, from Epstein's perspective, appears to have changed. How Epstein began to believe that he had a hold over Trump. These were the years leading up to Trump's election victory in 2016. Now, December 2015. This is just under a year before Trump won the 2016 election, and
he's in the goon cave again, the Trump goon cave.
Is gaining momentum as a candidate. On the 12th of December 2015, Epstein sent this email to a reporter from the New York Times. Subject line, Trump. Have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking into the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. It's not clear when Epstein was alleging that incident had happened, but the email suggests two things. First, a hint at the close association between Epstein and Trump, historically at least, and second, that Epstein is seeking at this point to discredit Trump. In the same email exchange with the reporter, Epstein says, "Would you like photos of Donald and girls in bikinis in my kitchen?" Now, as time passes, towards the cusp of Trump winning the White House in 2016, we get a new perspective on what Epstein was thinking.
He was texting a Dem rep while questioning Cohen. Yeah, I saw. Representative Stacey Plaskett was getting real-time advice from Jeffrey Epstein about what to ask Michael Cohen during a congressional hearing in 2019. Democrats should call on her to resign, says Peter Twinklage. It is one of the more insane moments in the Epstein saga, and it once again shows that there is a bipartisan consensus on dealing with Jeffrey Epstein positively. Anyway. Do you think Epstein was trying to discredit Trump in 2016 because he had closer pedo ties with the Clintons? Sorry, I'm getting I'm getting spammed about what to do next out here. I apologize. Let's continue.
Writing about Trump while he was on the rise to the presidency. There are swathes of emails between Epstein and the writer Michael Wolff. They detail how Epstein was being advised how he could use his relationship with Trump to his own benefit. Look at this one from Michael Wolff to Epstein in December 2015. Subject, heads up. Wolff writes about Trump, if he says he hadn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or, if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. And then Michael Wolff again to Epstein in October 2016, just before the presidential election. He suggests Epstein could finish Trump. Subject line, now could be the time. Wolff writes, there is an opportunity to come forward this week and talk about Trump in such a way that could garner you great sympathy and help finish him. Interested? Trump wins the election in November 2016. Look at this. Was Epstein in Trump Tower just days after? On the 13th of November 2016, a woman called Linda Stone asks Epstein, you still in Paris? Half an hour later, he replies, Trump Tower. It's not clear who, if anyone, he was.
Yeah. The suspicion right now is that he flew into France and then made his way to London to meet up with Donald Trump and Prince Andrew quietly. And then shortly thereafter, and I don't know what they talked about in that meeting. This is all speculation at this point, but there is at least some evidence to point that that is like what took place. Because Trump did publicly meet with Prince Andrew, which is already weird, right? Already a weird thing to do. Why the fuck are you meeting with Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew now? And the reason why he's former Prince Andrew now is because of his associations with Jeffrey Epstein and what he did alongside Jeffrey Epstein. He's a pedophile. Jeffrey Epstein potentially meets with Donald Trump and Prince Andrew in that meeting that took place privately, and then flies back or gets back to London, or from London to, France, and then flies back out of France. The timing of it is very suspicious. And the private correspondence reveals that Jeffrey Epstein, especially along with the flight records, was actually very close in proximity to Donald Trump in France at the same time that Trump was in the UK.
Meeting at Trump Tower, if he was actually there, there are public areas within the building. Remember, Trump says he cut ties with Epstein many years earlier. We asked the White House if Jeffrey Epstein was in Trump Tower on that date. In response, White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson said, these emails prove literally nothing. Epstein continues to write about and ridicule Trump during his first term in office. Take this from Epstein to Larry Summers in 2017. Summers was Treasury Secretary under Bill Clinton. Epstein writes, your world does not understand how dumb he really is. he will blame everyone around him for bad results. Remember, we don't know the full context of these emails. Here's another from March 2018. And in this case, the name of the person emailing Epstein has been redacted. The anonymous person says, "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." Epstein replies, "Yes, thanks. It's wild, because I am the one able to take him down." Now, this email has caught a lot of attention. It's from January 2019, in the middle of Trump's first term as president. It's about membership at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. Redacted worked at Mar-a-Lago. She was the one that accused Prince Andrew, Epstein wrote. Trump said, "He asked me to resign. Never remember, ever." Of course, he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
So, if Donald Trump knows about what Jeffrey Epstein was doing with the girls and still kept up a contact with him and still kept a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and maybe even met Jeffrey Epstein physically in 2019, and that throws a dagger in the story that made Trump look decent by comparison to like a Bill Clinton type who continued his public association with Epstein and Epstein affiliates much later into Jeffrey Epstein's prolific career of pedophilia. House Democrats have released emails in which Jeffrey Epstein wrote that President Trump had spent hours at my house with at least one of his sex trafficking victims and suggested he believed Trump knew more about his abuse than he has acknowledged. Epstein flatly asserted that Trump knew about the girls, many of whom were later found by investigators to have been underage. Epstein pondered how to address questions from the news media about their relationship as Mr. Trump was becoming a national political figure. In an email from January 2019, Epstein wrote to journalist Michael Wolff regarding Trump. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. So him asking Ghislaine to stop actually corresponds to Trump's narrative, which is he knew that, Epstein was like stealing his employees, but then he makes it seem like he was oblivious to what Epstein was doing with the employees. This also ties with what what Virginia Giuffre had said about Donald Trump, because Virginia Giuffre is one of the most important Epstein victims, as she was basically the public face for all of the Jeffrey Epstein victims for a very long time. She's the one who directly outed Prince Andrew and many others. So as far as Virginia Giuffre goes, she had said that Donald Trump had done nothing to her. She actually had defended Donald Trump. But the very fact that Donald Trump kept up a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, even after he knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, makes this all the more suspicious.
So what does all this mean? Well, the redacted name is Virginia Giuffre. We know that she worked at Mar-a-Lago, and she is the woman who accused Prince Andrew. The meaning isn't quite clear. We don't know precisely what Epstein is claiming when he says Trump knew about the girls. In response to the release of the documents, the White House said the fact remains that President Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club decades ago for being a creep to his female employees, including Giuffre. Remember, too, that Trump is on record as saying that he cut his relationship with Epstein because he thought he was poaching his female employees.
We took people that worked for me, and I told him don't do it anymore, and he did it, and I said, stay the hell out of here.
Now let's focus on the man formerly known as Prince Andrew. In his infamous Newsnight interview in November 2019, Andrew claimed that after he and Epstein met in New York in 2010, he was never in contact with him. But these emails between the pair are from the following year, March 2011. Remember, this is the time just after Epstein had been released from house arrest for having solicited prostitution from a minor. 3 months earlier, that now infamous photo of Epstein and Andrew was taken in New York's Central Park. Andrew's involvement with Epstein was headlined globally, and we now have an insight into Andrew's state of mind at the time. The email chain includes startling allegations. The Mail on Sunday had emailed asking for responses to their story, which alleged sordid sexual encounters involving Andrew, Maxwell, the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, and others. We've asked Mr. Barak for a response to the mention of his name. The emails get forwarded a few times, including from Ghislaine Maxwell to Epstein, and then from Epstein to an account labelled The Duke. Andrew appears to reply, "What? I don't know any of this. How are you responding?" Epstein replies, and it's full of typos. Just got it 2 minutes ago. I asked lawyers to send a letter. Not sure. It is so salacious and ridiculous. I'm not sure how to respond. The only person she didn't have sex with was Elvis. The subject title of this email is Ghislaine Maxwell. Then Andrew says, please make sure that every statement or legal letter states clearly that I am not involved and that I knew and know nothing about any of these allegations. I can't take any more of this, my end. Later that same year, 2011, emails show that Epstein was talking about Prince Andrew.
Why did YouTube blacklist you for this coverage 6 to 7 years ago? I mean, it could be a bunch of different reasons. One, it could be that I uploaded a fucking 8-hour broadcast directly to YouTube, and that like cooked my algorithm positioning. Or it could be that you know, people were not ready to have this conversation back then. I would say that as someone on the left, my career is riddled with being right too early and constantly having to eat it until people come to those same realizations and same conclusions over and over again. Was that from when you rebuked the content nuke? No, this is like in 2019. I covered the Jeffrey Epstein stuff extensively. It's one of the only thing that like conspiracy theorists are kind of, as you can now tell, not wrong about, right? And yeah, they were suppressing Epstein results. An example from newly released files showing how consultants sought to influence Google search results, burying articles about Jeffrey Epstein being a billionaire pedophile or having a diary of his underage victims, and then boosting articles about his philanthropy. Epstein's consultants influenced Google search results to minimize his negative coverage. We will see our properties shoot up due to the reinforcement we can provide from sites like Harvard, Nat Geo, and other publications we have influence over. So they were actively trying to manipulate the algorithm, which is normal stuff that PR consultants do. It's just, in this circumstance, the person that they were doing it for is also potentially a espionage asset for Mossad and CIA. Did you think in 2019 that Epstein was an Israeli agent? Yes. A lot of the information that you guys are now encountering was already readily available. A lot of this stuff is new. There's some new things in here, right? There's like a trove of emails that were recently released. That's new. But what's not new is his deep connections to Israel by way of his associations. Because we already knew that Ehud Barak was hanging out at his New York mansion in 2016 or 2017, I believe. So the real ball knowers were always on it. And no, I don't mean just and for the record, when I say he was an asset for the state of Israel, I don't mean just the state of Israel. Jeffrey Epstein absolutely was an asset for the American State Department as well. He was a CIA and Mossad agent.
He says,
sorry, not agent directly, but most likely an asset for both of them.
Buckingham Palace would love it if Virginia Giuffre was proven to be a liar. Epstein emails a publicist. I think a great opportunity has arisen. He goes on, the girl who accused Prince Andrew can easily be proven to be a liar. I think Buckingham Palace would love it. You should task someone to investigate the girl that has caused the Queen's son all this aggro. I promise you, she is a fraud. You and I will be able to go to Ascot for the rest of our lives. But in trying to discredit Virginia Giuffre, Epstein appears to confirm that the photo of her with Andrew is real. Andrew has previously claimed that the photo could have been doctored. Yes, she was on my plane, and yes, she had her picture taken with Andrew, as many of my employees have. I have never misled you. This girl is a total liar. Let's skip forward.
Robert Skvarla says, the 9/13/24 meeting with Bill Burns here would appear significant because Burns was Obama's Deputy Secretary of State until November when he retired from Foreign Service. That means Epstein and Thiel may have met with someone in the Obama State Department. 2014, not 2024. 13th afternoon, you and I, then Bill Burns, diplomat, evening dinner with Woody, all casual. If you choose, we can bring in Kathy Rumler, former Obama counsel for 5 years, or send in Bob Kerrey, former Senate Intelligence. This was a blunt rotation with Peter Thiel, Jeffrey Epstein, Woody Allen, Bill Burns, and former Senator Bob Kerrey. What is this? There would be a paper trail if he was an asset. Not even an asset, not an agent. I doubt directly worked for not an agent, not even an asset. There would be a paper trail if he was an asset. Are you serious? I think you're insane if you think, first of all, there is paper trail. There is a paper trail connecting Jeffrey Epstein to some of the most important financial people on the planet, not just in the United States of America. There are already bank transactions That's actually a big part of the reason why people want this stuff to be released. When people say, "Oh, release the Epstein files," that's what they're talking about. It's so funny to assume that a guy who was like openly emailing people about how Kazakhstan should purchase Israeli spyware and how they want to do coups all around the world and prop up people who are pro-Israel or pro-America in positions of power. That guy didn't leave a fucking fat paper trail. He did. That's straight up the reason for why people are saying we want to see the information. We want to see the Epstein files. At least that's what I mean when I say we want to see the Epstein files. It's the whole point. Jeffrey Epstein in 2018 was claiming that Imran Khan was really bad news, citing Pakistan's nuclear weapons. The State Department pushed him out of office with help from the Pakistani military in 2022. An Israeli military intelligence officer lived at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Manhattan on multiple occasions, including while he was an aide to then Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak. Yoni Koren was a senior Amman officer with decades of experience in the intelligence in the Israeli security establishment and stayed at Epstein's home. I think it's funny. It sounds like you're implying things while they're just literally saying events that happened. Yeah. None of this is like speculative at this point. Now that Jeffrey Epstein's private emails have been leaked, it's no longer a speculation. I mean, he was directly dealing with high-ranking officials of the Israeli security apparatus, and he was consistently working for them. He was consistently cutting deals for them. He was tying Peter Thiel to Israel. He was selling Israeli spyware. Like, all of this stuff is real. The private emails are at least one version of the connective tissue here. Emails show Epstein wired Korean money while Koren acted as an intermediary between Israel and U.S. intelligence. And remember, the very same dynamic that exists between America and Israel as two quote-unquote separate nation states, which is a contingency plan, right, is the exact same reason why Jeffrey Epstein is utilized as an asset. It's better to have an outside guy that gets to work in an autonomous fashion that is still working for you to do blackmail and sex trafficking and gun running and money laundering than it is to have a guy who is directly under the payroll of the government. Okay? Just like it's better for America to have a state like Israel conduct espionage and wage these assassination, do JSOC style assassination operations. And then there's a level of plausible deniability always where you're like, well, they're a separate sovereign nation state, right? They're going after their own desires. They're pursuing their own security interests in the region. Yeah, here he is talking about building a back channel to Putin. Politico writing about Epstein in Russia and somehow managing to not mention that he built a back channel to Putin amid the Syria civil war is Pravda-level stuff. American media is just absurd. Jeffrey Epstein claimed he gave Russians insight into Trump. Isn't it weird this billionaire financier has no emails about financing and investing? Yeah, it is weird, right? Jeffrey Epstein and the Mossad, how the sex trafficker helped Israel build a back channel to Russia amid the Syrian civil war. Hacked emails show how Jeffrey Epstein and former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak tried to engineer a Russian-led solution to remove Bashar al-Assad. How is he doing that? How is he doing all that? Think.
To January 2015, Epstein and Maxwell appearing to be in private brainstorming responses to each other to a legal and media storm. They're firefighting, and the email exchanges are written in haste. Maxwell to Epstein, the 10th of January 2015. I have to distance myself from you in statement 2, and they need me to say I was not aware of massage with Andrew in my house. These things, they have to stay, along with meeting, redacted, and rebutting these allegations. I need it ASAP. Finally, look at this. When President Trump was on a state visit to the UK in 2019, Steve Bannon is emailing Epstein. Bannon, remember, is the former White House strategist fired by Trump earlier in his first term. He and Epstein are commenting on Trump's physical proximity to Andrew in video of the state visit. Prince Andrew and Trump today. Too funny, Epstein wrote. Then, recall Prince Andrew's accuser came out of Mar-a-Lago. Bannon replied, I can't believe nobody is making you the connective tissue. This is just days before Epstein's final arrest. Andrew Mann.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Steve Bannon, once again, another person that I talked about routinely, who was very connected to Jeffrey Epstein, someone who has been able to avoid scrutiny somehow. Again, wasn't Bannon trying to make that weird documentary? No, he claimed that it was a weird documentary, but the real reason why he was meeting up with Jeffrey Epstein was because he was filming a deposition. He was basically trying to figure out a way to do PR for Epstein, and also on top of that, he was trying to help him message better in a deposition style situation. And from what I understand, I mean that when he was outed, he said, "Oh, I was just trying to film a documentary about how evil he is." And yet, for some reason, that documentary, as far as I understand, never was released. Maybe it was, maybe I didn't see it, but I don't believe that the editing on that documentary would be what the actual would actually reveal the true intentions. Epstein seemingly had close ties to the Gulf states as well. Besides his meeting with MBS, he conversed regularly with the president of Dubai and multiple Emirati businessmen, as well as meeting with the Qatari officials. Yep. He even had a Saudi passport. He also was involved in the Maldives, Mongolia, and had a bunch of other countries. He seemed to be everyone's guy. Yeah, but you don't get to be... Those countries that you're referencing are still very much aligned with America. So him being everyone's guy of that sort in that situation is actually him still being America and Israel's guy. Like, it's not like he was doing stuff for the Emiratis or for Saudi Arabia against the interests or wishes of the United States of America.
Windsor continues to face scrutiny over his friendship with Epstein, but has always vigorously denied all of the accusations against him in relation to the deceased paedophile. Now, Peter Mandelson, he is the man who lost his job as UK ambassador here in Washington because of his links with Epstein, revealed in a previous tranche of documents. We now know that he had contact with Epstein as late as 2016, according to these new emails. This is much later than known before now. Previously released emails show they maintained contact until 2010. A direct exchange between Epstein and Mandelson on the 6th of November 2016. The email is started by Epstein, 63 years old, you made it. Mandelson replies, just. I've decided to extend my life by spending more of it in the US. Later in the chain, Donald in White House, will he get there? Mandelson writes. And then what appears to be a separate thought, yes, without Andrew, it would not have gone nuclear. It's not clear quite what Mandelson is referring to. Mandelson then goes on to reference his relationship with his own husband. Epstein writes to Mandelson, I was right in your staying with Ronaldo. Ronaldo is Mandelson's husband. Mandelson replies, did you advise me to stay with R? Such a handful, but loyal and never embarrassing. And so it's clear that privately, Epstein and Mandelson are discussing Mandelson's husband, and this is an indication of just how close they were as recently as 2016. Now, I've messaged Lord Mandelson asking for comment. He's seen the message, but has not responded. Mandelson spoke to Sky in May this year, expressing regret.
Hi. My knowledge of him is something that I regret. I wish I'd never met him in the first place.
So there are thousands, tens of thousands of documents in the release. There are also hundreds, if not thousands, more names referenced. A mind-boggling range of presidents, prime ministers, princes, high-powered financiers, and powerful business people. Of course, association does not make them guilty of anything. These emails were initially released by the Democrats here in the United States on the House committee. The committee then released all 20,000 documents. It is a political battle ongoing, and the walls appear to be closing in on Donald Trump's White House.
The United States is expanding its military presence in the Caribbean as the White House weighs possible action inside Venezuela. The Trump administration says the buildup is part of its war on drugs. Yesterday, the U.S. military confirmed it carried out its 20th strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean Sea. U.S. forces killed 4 people in the targeted attack, which happened on Monday. The U.S. is also ramping up its military might in Puerto Rico. CBS News senior national security correspondent Charlie D'Agata is there.
New Pentagon images show a B-52 long-range bomber flying over the USS Gerald R. Ford as it steams toward the Caribbean, a provocative display of the American military power that is now being staged against Venezuela. The Ford and the warships sailing with it will be bolstered by F-35 stealth fighter jets already operating in the area. Those F-35s are being flown out of this airfield in Puerto Rico. It's a base the Navy shut down more than 20 years.
Why? Because we can. That's it. There is no rhyme or reason for any of this. It's just straight up. It's just straight up being conducted for natural resource extraction, obviously, like oil. Venezuela sits on top of the largest natural oil reserves. It's not as easily extractable and refinable as like Saudi oil, but that is obviously the primary reason. But also the reason why they're able to get away with it is because, and there's also the whole like fighting socialism in Latin America is another reason, right? The dominoes will fall. Cuba, Brazil, all these other scary socialist countries in the area. But ultimately it's just oil and war. We have to constantly do wars. There's no other way to do it. It's our primary export. It's our primary industry. The biggest resource extraction is tax dollars of the defense industry. Yep. And that's why we're doing it. It's laughable when a president says they're anti-war. When an American president says they're going to be anti-war. It's extra laughable when Trump does it because he objectively was not anti-war at all. And obviously, there's some ominous messages coming out. One is from the U.S. representative that I showed earlier. The other is from the Venezuelan opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado. In a message to the Maduro regime loyalists says, "Lower your weapons. Don't you dare attack the people. What is going to happen is already happening. The decisive hour is imminent." I think one of the most insane parts about this is that the media has kind of been walking alongside this, and the Democrats themselves haven't made a big deal about it either. We've been covering it extensively and demanding that the Democrats actually push back on this, but they have quietly gone along with it. Play the clip. I don't speak Spanish. Now, for those of you who don't know, of course, Maria Corina Machado recently won the Nobel Peace Prize after she had defended Israel's genocide, demanded Israel help, like petitioned Israel to help with overthrowing Maduro, and also had defended the Trump administration's policy of bombing the fucking boats. This link does not have the translated transcript. Yeah. Scroll down. Oh. Dear Venezuelans, the roar of this land that demands freedom grows and resounds inside and outside the country. 30 million of us reveal ourselves to a criminal regime that is on the way out, a regime that is as hostages are heroes, as hostages are heroes, the political prisoners in the entire kidnapped country. They have separated us from our families. They afflict us internationally or intentionally. They kill our people out of hunger. But deep down, the worst hostages are those who force this barbarity to be executed, those who obey infamous orders, ruining the lives of their own brothers. They feel guilty. They can't look in the eyes of their children or their mothers. No one, absolutely no one, needs a path of redemption to come back to life more than they do. Listen to the daughter of Luis Mendoza, kidnapped by the regime in the state of Trujillo. To those who still obey the orders of this criminal regime, this is this is what they want for their own people. They can sleep in peace after committing this cruelty. This is the future they want for their children, for their families, for their country. The cry of this girl is the cry of all of Venezuela, of your own children. Keep this very clear. Those cries of pain will never leave you. We don't say bless you. We say science you, chat. Okay? And apparently Chinese people don't even say bless you at all. They will rattle in your head every night if you don't act now at this very moment. Lower your weapons. Don't attack your people. Make today the decision to accompany the freedom of Venezuela when the time comes. What is going to happen is already happening. That decisive hour is imminent. The position that each one takes will mark their life forever. History, the law, and the Venezuelan people will be their judges. When the time comes, come out. Embrace the people, their people. You will know very well how and when to take that step because everything around you will be unequivocal. Be a hero and not a criminal. Be a pride and not a shame to your family. Be a part of the bright future of Venezuela and not of the ruin that tyranny destroyed. The day is coming. Join us, Venezuela, and your brothers and sisters are waiting for you. Yeah. Maria Corina Machado, the far-right U.S.-backed Venezuelan coup leader who won the Nobel Peace Prize, promised a massive privatization if Trump can put her in power.
And this is amazing.
She vowed to sell off $1.7 trillion of Venezuela's oil, gas, gold, infrastructure, etc. to U.S. corporations.
Super exciting for me. We will open Venezuela for foreign investment. I am talking about a $1.7 trillion opportunity, not only in oil and gas, which is huge, and you know that the opportunities, because we will open all upstream, middle stream, downstream to all companies, but also in mining, in gold, in infrastructure, power. We have our grid right now has a 17 gigawatt opportunity of energy potential that needs to be rehabbed. Certainly for technology and AI and tourism. You know, Venezuela has 2,800 kilometers of pristine Caribbean coastline ready to be developed. So this is going to be huge. We will bring rule of law. We will open markets. We will have security for foreign investment and a transparent, massive privatization program that is waiting for you.
Yeah, this seems like a person invested in bettering Venezuelan lives. You know, you can always tell with these people. The tell is always who they're pitching to. Okay, their primary purpose is to advance the interests of capital. That's the same reason why Juan Guaido had a unique opportunity to take over the interim governance for a brief moment, and instead of doing that in Venezuela, partially because he did not have the mandate, even against a divisive leadership with Maduro. He spent all of that time in America begging Israel and America to intervene. This is, of course, not even about the popularity of Maduro, but instead about American intervention. Hegseth, JCS Chairman Kaine, and Trump held another meeting today at the White House to discuss the attack options for Venezuela. This so-called strategic ambiguity doesn't seem to accomplish anything. And now with the Gerald Ford carrier nearby, the clock is ticking. This was 2 days ago. It remains unclear if President Donald Trump has decided to pursue such an escalation, and all signs are pointing to yes.
Years ago, but it is back and operational as the United States builds up forces ahead of a possible military action against Venezuela. The military presence is drawing notice from locals like Damian Leon.
I feel tense, kind of anxious, not knowing what's going to happen, maybe an attack of someone close.
The Roosevelt Roads base is one of 5 locations where U.S. forces are now operating on an American territory strategically positioned north of Venezuela. Samuel Rivera Baez is the mayor of the town located just next to the base. The F-35s wake us up in the morning, he told us. But is there a concern that if the United States engages in Venezuela, that Puerto Rico might become a target? Right now, the United States is the most powerful in the world, he told us. Having them here, taking care of us, we feel more than safe. As the U.S. conducts live-fire exercises in the region, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, whom the U.S. wants to remove from power for alleged cartel ties, spoke out against what he called threats of an invasion. Raise your hand if you want Venezuela to become a Yankee colony, he said. For CBS Saturday Morning, Charlie D'Agata, Ceiba, Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Southcom bases are operational in Puerto Rico and Honduras, where the forward-deployed JTF Bravo is based. As part of the buildup, the U.S. is relying on nearby neighbors. Several USA Air Force and Special Operations planes have been spotted in El Salvador. USA Today, Trump says he's sort of made up my mind on whether to take military action in Venezuela, a move that would escalate an already tense situation after the United States spent 2 months striking alleged drug boats in the Caribbean. CNN, the United States will hold new military drills in Trinidad and Tobago for 5 days starting Sunday, the Caribbean nation says. The drills will include U.S. Marine Corps' 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit. When has the U.S. ever been wrong about invading a country? I can't recall. Yeah, great track record there. Famously, always good. Famously, everybody always loves it. The locals enjoy it quite a bit, when they're first getting bombed into oblivion, and then also having door knockers bust through their homes and arrest random nationals. This is the actions of a weak nation that is on its death throes, that sits on top of a ginormous military, a nation that is at the mercy of its capital-owning class. In the short term, this might spell an increase in profits and extraction of natural resources. But considering that we are living in the ashes and the aftermath of the global war on terror, which everyone basically fucking recognizes was an abject failure for both selfish reasons and also for the normal reasons, the death and destruction of millions of people in the MENA region, tens of millions of people displaced, a power vacuum that comes in the aftermath, and more violent forces wreaking havoc. We're running the Iraq route on Venezuela, and since everything has been getting worse and worse, since everything is deteriorated, even the organs of propaganda have deteriorated, the Trump administration is not even doing a WMD strategy here. They're basically saying, fuck you, we're going to do it. What can you do about it instead? That's their current strategy. Politico, the administration discussing whether to exile the dictator, possibly to Turkey, or arrest him, and how to lift sanctions on his country. This day after planning suggests that Trump isn't about to abandon his campaign in the region. Yeah, the no new wars president. But of course, like I said, will this actually cause a fissure within the base? I think not. I think even with the limited amount of propagandizing that the administration has conducted in an effort to justify their actions in their region, with the severely limited level of propaganda as to why they're blowing up the fishing boats, YouGov polling suggested that Republicans were still in unison on board with the Trump administration's actions on that front. The war on drugs isn't a new war, though. I mean, this isn't really a war on drugs. Also, invading an entire country for quote unquote the war on drugs is new. Even in Mexico, we just engaged in special operations, right? JSOC teams, training some of the cartels early on, working with the DEA. Very different than just direct boots on the ground military warfare. And if you say Panama, Venezuela is not Panama. It's a much larger country. Venezuela is not Grenada. Okay? There's a big difference there. These guys personally think that, what about Nicaragua? Guys, I'm not saying America's never intervened in Latin America. What are you talking about? I'm saying that they've never done it like this. Okay? Do you not understand? Yes, clandestine operations have been America's bread and butter in South America. But this is more Vietnam or Afghanistan or Iraq than it is arming the Contras and training the Contras. This is a direct invasion, a bombing campaign potentially followed by boots on the ground. Okay? This isn't to say that those other atrocities were not consequential, horrible, and even the instances of direct invasion are very different. That's why I said Panama and Grenada. Those are two instances where America did actually directly engage and put boots on the ground. But those are, as far as size goes, and even as far as like previous relationships with the American government goes, those were very unique. Those are very different than Venezuela. They were much more limited. And of course, only 16% of Americans and only 31% of Republicans support Trump attacking Venezuela, and 62% oppose it. 48% of Republicans is deeply unpopular, yet mysteriously the Populism Brigade isn't advocating Democrats make opposing it a high salience issue. Weird. Yeah. Top officials present President Trump with military options for Venezuela in the coming days. Note that the two most powerful Dems in the country have done the opposite, done the following to oppose this. Hakeem Jeffries has not released a single statement. Schumer made one statement, and his primary criticism was Trump had no clear explanation and demanded a senator's briefing. Democrats just want to be a part of it. They're like, come on, just give us a little bit of a taste, dude. You can't be going around bombing other countries without giving us a taste. We want to be a part of it. Let us in on the action, Jack. That's so frustrating. It's mind-boggling. In Schumer's defense, he did support DOA Senate legislation that would have required approval from Congress before Trump could take military action against Venezuela. The context of his one comment on this, but other than that, is total crickets. It'd be cool if we had Adam Johnson continues and he says, it'd be cool if we had an opposition party that meaningfully pushed back against this or talked about it or did more than run through the motion on a single DOA Senate resolution. The most powerful Democrat in the country, Hakeem Jeffries, has not issued a single statement on Trump's escalations, serial murders, and potential invasion of Venezuela. At this point, the only logical conclusion one can reach is that he supports it. Top Democrats express confidence in U.S. intel on boat strikes, but calls for more transparency from Trump administration. Senate Intelligence Vice Chairman Mark Warner on Wednesday expressed confidence in the intelligence used by the Pentagon to strike alleged drug traffickers in the Pacific Ocean. As I told you already, blowing up, even if there is enough evidence that these guys on the fishing boats that they blew up were drug traffickers, we know for a fact that given the way that those boats are structured, there's no way that those drugs were actually reaching the American coastline. The DA's own evidence, the DA's own investigations show that there is no evidence whatsoever that Venezuela is a narco-trafficking hub. And on top of that, even if they were like low-level drug offenders, as I've said before, or even high-level drug traffickers, the way to deal with them is not an extrajudicial killing from afar, but to intercept said boats off the coastline on international waters. And yet, they didn't do that. This is not how you deal with drug trafficking in general. Mark Warner said he had confidence in the intelligence, but urged the Trump administration to divulge more information to a skeptical public as Democrats questioned the legal justification for continued attacks. After a briefing with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Warner said, "I think our intelligence assets are quite good," explaining that he believes the administration does have visibility into the transport of illegal drugs, but the Virginia senator contended that making more information available about the strikes would help instill confidence in the U.S.'s actions in the region. This in and of itself shows that they have no opposition to this whatsoever. They don't have opposition towards this. We'll be paying close attention to what goes on in the next 48 hours, considering that they have signaled that they're going to be doing a military training starting Sunday for the next 5 days. Could imply that this is more than just a military training, but instead is very much a Russia-style potential invasion, or as Russia also said, a special operation that would last only a week. Now, getting back to it, let's talk about the mayoral transition getting off to a bumpy start. Zohran Mamdani.
Big time for New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani as he prepares to take over the
Jay Park is trying to, as fire as everyone says it is, it's even more fire than the way people say it is or what people claim. It's fucking dope. The Dems are going to let Trump do a war of aggression, wag the dog war in order to distract from the Epstein files. Incredible. Yeah. Well, it's a win-win for the Democrats, who are fucking awful. It's a win-win for them because, one, they love bombing countries and they love bombing Venezuela, the prospect of bombing Venezuela. And two, this way, there isn't more of a fuss. This way, there isn't more of a fuss around the Epstein files. They can stop talking about the Epstein files.
Yesterday, he met with Governor Kathy Hochul to talk about priorities. This comes as the current mayor, Eric Adams, prepares to travel to Israel. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate joins us live at City Hall with more. Good morning, Phil.
Pedro, Tanya, good morning. Mayor Adams is expected to travel to Israel today to meet with economic development leaders and to also discuss ways to combat anti-Semitism here in the city. Now, meantime, Zohran Mamdani is expected to transition into City Hall as the Adams administration is counting down for when he'll leave office. Now, Mamdani prepares to assume office. Their transition teams have only met once, but Adams and Mamdani haven't had a face-to-face as of yet. Meantime, Mamdani didn't waste any time already announcing some of his first appointments, from deputy mayor and his chief of staff that will work alongside him. But the mayor may have already had a rough patch in their transition, as the mayor-elect accused Adams of using his final weeks in office to derail Mamdani's agenda, including turning the Elizabeth Street Garden into affordable housing. Adams had agreed to build affordable housing in the Garden's place, but he pivoted in June. Designating the Garden as a city parkland will make it much harder to ever develop housing in its place.
It is no surprise that Mayor Adams is using his final weeks and months to cement a legacy of dysfunction and inconsistency.
If I were the incoming mayor and looking at the victories we had around housing, around public safety, around transportation, around economic recovery, around taking care of our young people, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it, try to use it.
It's very cool that the former mayor, the outgoing mayor in his lame duck period, can just basically openly do everything in his fucking power to try and rat fuck the incoming mayor that won the popular mandate, right? Just directly going against the wishes of New Yorkers. Fucking awesome. No interest in any sort of good governance whatsoever. It's great. Love it. Fantastic way to govern this goddamn country. Many examples of this happening all around, but this is one of the most transparent ones. Like, Eric Adams saw New Yorkers hold up a guy who said, I'm not going to Israel. I want to be the mayor for New Yorkers, and said, bet, I'm going to Israel, and I'm also going to do everything in my power to make sure I undermine Zohran Mamdani's reign on my way out when I can't even be punished.
And as the mayor travels to Israel, upon his return, the pair could meet another high-profile meeting that we're also waiting to take place is between Mamdani as well as the commissioner, Jessica Tisch, who he has asked to stay on as police commissioner, although she has not committed as of yet. We are live outside of City Hall this morning. I'm Phil Tate.
How can you jail Eric Adams? People are saying, like, throw him in jail. I agree. But the Trump administration is in line with Eric Adams' methods. They fucking hate Zohran Mamdani for the very same reasons that Eric Adams hates Zohran Mamdani.
807 Eyewitness.
You want a white nation?
Oh, this is Dhoni's new piece. He went to South Africa for this. And March is coming up in a second. And we're going to move on, and we're going to mobilize, and we're going to go out. We are going to go out to walk the mountain city of Chongqing, also known as Cyberpunk City, also known as the city of hot springs, also known as the city of hot pots, also known as the city of hot girls, apparently. Yeah, they say that Chongqing has the highest density of fine shits in all of China. Straight up. We learned all about it. It's also very lesbian, apparently. Chongqing is very lesbian. Like, Chengdu is the gay city. Chongqing is the lesbian city. Recreate IShowSpeed's drone shots? I can't. It's not something within our capabilities. Why'd you say, what the fuck? Chongqing is also known as the foggy city, and it is very foggy right now. We were initially supposed to go at 10 a.m. We were supposed to go to this high-rise tower to look down at the city and to show you everything, but it's so foggy that the visibility is super, super limited. Buy a drone, bro. You're a millionaire. Oh my God. Are you going to meet the light sign guy like Speed? Yeah, potentially. Hire a Chinese master drone operator. You'll be fine. You can't just be flying drones, dude. No, there are people who, Speed did it. Trump addressing the nation in 15 minutes. Wait, what? I did not see that. We are going to be trying the spicy hot pot as well. Are there any $1 million melons in China? I don't know. You are not Speed? Yes, that is true. I am not. Where can we watch day 6 of China trip? We were mostly traveling yesterday, so there is nothing from day 6. And everyone was incredibly hungover. I do want to show you guys this video that I saw, which is fucking crazy. Look at this. South Carolina even has the A&M police officers rattled. Look. I did see Will Menaker defend me against Isaac Dover, yes. Maher attacks socialist candidates, etc. Bill Maher drops a reality bomb on Zohran Mamdani voters. with a brutal history lesson on socialism.
That Zoran Mamdani is the future of the party. Unfortunately, it's the Republican Party. We've run this experiment many times, and the results are always obvious. Here's capitalist South Korea at night from space. Here's socialist North Korea. In 1990, Venezuela was wealthier than Poland. But then Poland, finally free of Soviet-style economics, went all in on capitalism. And now their economy is as big as Japan. And people there have high wages, low inflation, cars, vacations, homes. Meanwhile, Venezuela traded capitalism for Hugo Chavez's socialism for the 21st
Hugo
century.
Chavez, which, by the way, for the longest time was a period of unprecedented prosperity and even development of rural areas, all of that good stuff. And of course, we never stop punishing them for it. We never stop punishing people for it. One of the few countries that has actually been able to avoid this level of intervention has been China. And obviously, Bill Maher hates China. And so does most of the American capital owning class.
Which turned out to be like socialism.
Actually, that's not even true. American capitalists do love China. They use it as a manufacturing hub still to this day. But they also love entertaining the notion of waging war with China.
In the last century, or any century, a fucking mess. It turned one of Latin America's richest countries into one of its poorest. Low wages, high inflation, shortages, outages, 8 million people fleeing. If you think New York can somehow reinvent this wheel, you're in for a rude awoke.
Oh, God. I think one of the only things that I will say about the Venezuela comparison, or even like the Cuba comparison or any other socialist attempts, is that Donald Trump unironically is talking about how he is going to treat New York City in the same way that we have treated Venezuela and Cuba. That is true. He literally immediately said he was going to apply domestic sanctions. He said he was going to shut off the money faucet to New York City. Like previously allocated funds in New York City were no longer going to go to New York City, which is like literally the domestic equivalent of doing the mother load of sanctions. It's the classic trope, right? Of course, socialism never works. Of course, it's always a failure, which is why we have to immediately do everything in our power to ensure that it fails. Okay? There's never been a single fucking socialist development, socialist political development, socialist development at all, that hasn't been met with unlimited response by the American State Department. That's great. That is the classic method, right? We must do everything in our power to intervene. We must do everything in our power to intervene. Otherwise, if socialism is such a failure, why don't they ever let socialist countries operate normally around the planet? That's my question. Why is every country of this sort consistently punished by the American government? Not intervening to stop the genocide, though, of course. Of course not. That would be ridiculous. We would never do that. Hold on.
Good overall. How are you feeling? Oh, I have this.
Oh, I'd like that.
So, did he suck him off?
Did he Trump suck Bill off?
Yeah.
I in my headcanon, yes. What is this noise? Is it wind?
Oh no. Your next door neighbors had a fucking super loud baby.
Oh. Well, the very fact that I can barely hear the baby crying means that it's good and they can't hear me yelling about Donald Trump sucking Bill Clinton's penis.
The Throatus? He did that shit, right, chat?
What? You're more worried about filming Fear End than hitting the mean streets of Chongqing? Why? We can do it here. What do you mean? We got hella space. We can do it in Austin's room. We can do it in Gawk 3000. Counterpoint socialism always devolves into genocidal fascist dictatorship, murders the own population, which is why the U.S. must immediately intervene and install their own genocidal fascist dictatorship to prevent it. Oh wait, yeah. All right, you can pull it. Do it in Austin's room so we get to see Mount Fuji. Oh yeah. Yeah, he owns it. He owns Mount Fuji, as you guys know. But yeah, in my headcanon, he did suck him. I need Austin to weigh in on the Bubba incident. Don't worry, we'll talk extensively about that. You should link up with the Chinese Donald Trump guy, Ryan Chen. He lives in Chongqing. I know. We're going to try to do that. Mar crying into the void. Meanwhile, the polls speak for themselves. Yeah, Zohran Mamdani is now among the most popular politicians in the country among Democratic base party voters. Centrist disinformation efforts have had no effect whatsoever. Or maybe it's that Americans heard that Zohran was hanging out with your boy, Mr. America Deserved 9/11, and they were like, yeah, that's based. One or the other. Do you only own parachute pants? Bro needs to buy some new shit. I bought these new, and I love these pants. I think I'm blasting a fit here, but maybe you guys are not seeing it. Look. Wi-Fi didn't work, yeah, so I used the backpack. So, I mean, yeah, just get it, yeah, just put the camera on and stuff and then I'll swap it to a BRB screen in a second. Son, have you been hitting the gym? Only one day. I've only hit the gym one time so far. My grandma's wearing something similar when she's feeding the ducks. Nice. Inuyasha in the local pipe fitters union. Nice. Slava, you need to tailor those still. Can't countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, France, Canada be considered on the path towards democratic socialism? No, because they are social democracies, and they're moving away from. First of all, none of them are operated or controlled by communist parties or socialist parties. That's number one. Most of their socialist movements are already revisionist, and even if they exist, they're usually just social democratic. Social democracy is still capitalism. And as a consequence of that, many of these countries are actually moving away from, many of these countries are seemingly moving away from socialism or transitioning in the direction of socialism, but instead privatizing a lot of these key sectors. Unlike China, what do you mean? No, there is a difference. That's what I mean. Oh, China is revisionist too. Yes. But I'm saying that like there is no control at all, and many of them are directly and openly in a defensive posture, at best, towards defending the pre-existing social democratic reforms at a time when capital is winning over and eradicating what remains of the previous socialization attempts.
Damn, this guy's good.